Hi, this is Marlene with Miami Ghost Chronicles, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Stories of the Supernatural. Wherever you find us, whether it's a video or podcast on your favorite platform, please like and subscribe to us so that you can get notification of when a new show is released. You can also find us on major social media platforms. If you go to MiamiGhostChronicles.com, you can find links to the videos or MP3 files, which you can download and enjoy without commercial interruptions. If you're into classic horror, ghost, and adventure stories, I narrate Nightshade Diary, and you can find links at nightshadediary.com. If scary stories are your bag, and listening to encounters with cryptids, ghosts, dogman, and other weird creatures sends a shiver up your spine, then go to supernaturalstorytime.com for links to our weekly podcasts. Noteworthy news about the paranormal world, true crime, conspiracy stories, and anything that is just plain weird can be found at eerie.news or visit the Stranger Than Fiction Stories tab at miamighostchronicles.com. Please subscribe to my newsletter on SUBSTACK. Just go to mppellicer.com for a link. I want to thank you for being part of my audience, and I think you are all wonderful. So how's everybody doing? Hold on. Oh wait, I'm here. How's everybody doing? Good? Everything is good over here. Besides being brutally hot, that is. So I can continue with my, it's so hot. It is. It's hot and steamy, and like right now I'm looking out this window and when there's not a leaf stirring. Because let me tell you something, when it's hot, but you get a little bit of a breeze. I'm looking out my window and I've got a big tree. As a matter of fact, I got a flag, an American flag I can see from where I'm at. And usually, believe it or not, that's how I know when something, even rain's coming in, because it'll start flopping. Nothing's moving. All right. So, but besides that, now that I've done my weather report here from northern Florida, everybody's always saying, "Oh, what other strange story have you come across?" Well, I do have a strange story, and what this strange story is hold on. This is we're gonna stray away from UFOs this time. Hold on. All right, here we go. All right, this is a little bit out there. This has to do with the Titanic. How's that? What do you think about this? Okay. This, I'm sure everybody's, I don't know. Let me not generalize. I take that back. As you sometimes think. This is, as a matter of fact, this is an Unexplained Mysteries, and it came out of Popular Mechanics, is where the original article is out of. But bizarre conspiracy theory suggests that the Titanic didn't actually sink, right? Now, this has been around for a while, and this is basically what it's saying. Conspiracy theorists have perpetuated a rumor in recent years that rewrites the events of the Titanic disaster. The fact that the Titanic hit an iceberg and sank in 1912 is well established, and you might think that it would be impossible to claim that it didn't happen, and you would be right up to a point. This particular conspiracy, however, doesn't claim that no ship at all sank in the Atlantic on that date. Instead, it claims that the ship that sank wasn't actually the Titanic, it was the Olympic. In the early 1900s, White Star Line, who built both ships, was keen to beat the Lusitania and Mauritania, which was the largest passenger ship of their day. To the Senate commissioned 3 vessels, the Titanic, the Olympic, and the Britannic. The Olympic was completed first, but on its 5th voyage, a collision with another ship saw it sustain significant damage, and a later court case declared that White Star Line was responsible. This is where the conspiracy theorists say things began to differ from the official story, as they argue that the incident was so damaging for White Star Line that when the Titanic was completed, they decided to pull off an insurance scam by relabeling the 2 ships so that the Olympic was now the Titanic and vice versa. The original Olympic, which is now the Titanic, would then be scuttled in an accident so that they could recoup their losses on an insurance claim for a brand new ship. What they didn't account for, however, is the ship hitting an iceberg on its maiden voyage. Of course, there is no concrete evidence to support the theory, and experts typically agree that the whole idea is complete nonsense. Maybe. Even so, there remains a significant number of people who seem to believe that it's true. I don't know. What do you think? Let me see. I know this article here in Popular Mechanics, it goes more into J.P. Morgan and why they might have done that. As far as they're showing here that let me tell you something. Honestly, it was not unheard of for shipping companies to scuttle ships or to have them have an accident, either when the ship was getting really old, all right, or that, you know, they had had some type of damage, and then they would just, oh, it caught fire, too bad, you know, and of course it had to be, or they would let it wreck, oh, the anchor rope snapped and it ran into the rocks, because this is how some of them would recoup their losses, you know, especially, because remember, this was not only the ship, it was the equipment, if it had anything in the cargo, whatever. Now, what I'm curious about this is that they're saying, oh, they were planning to do something to the supposedly Titanic, which is really the Olympic, okay, as they would be scuttled in an accident. But I'm thinking, what kind of accident? You know, it almost sounds like what they didn't expect that this ship was going to hit an iceberg. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, what kind? It would have to be a significant accident to get a ship that big to, I don't know, to disappear, go into the waves. I mean, in other words, it couldn't be damaged where could be sailed back to port somewhere. So it makes you wonder. And then, you know, there's other conspiracies which we want to get into, where some believe that there were certain members of very eminent banking families that were basically, in other words, you want to call it that, and I know it's more complicated. Basically, the Titanic was sunk by hitting the iceberg somehow or other, because there was people on that ship from the banking families that they wanted to get rid of, because they were standing in the way of what they wanted to do as far as the Federal Reserve and all these other banking. Like, not everybody was on board with it. So I don't know. What do you think? I mean, we're talking conspiracies, and nowadays, let me tell you something. Now, once upon a time, a conspiracy theorist was like a bad word. And it turns out that a lot of people, it's like, God, that wasn't a conspiracy after all. So that's why I'm saying anything is possible. Anything is possible. Even though it may seem improbable, short of impossible, and that doesn't sound like an impossible scenario to me. That they could relabel one, and that maybe unforeseen, they could hit an iceberg again. And remember, the Titanic, which obviously these three ships were built identical, they were sister ships, they were considered unsinkable, to the fact, of course, which is later on proved to be a problem, which is that they didn't have enough lifeboats on them in order to get everybody off the ships, because they were deemed unsinkable. So again, there's something there where, I don't know. Tell me what you think. But anyway, let's get on to the good part. Tell me what you think about that conspiracy, by the way, and any other conspiracy you can think of. But I especially like maritime conspiracies. Okay, on to the good part. The good part is, who is the guest today at Stories of the Supernatural? He's been here before. His name is Christian MacLeod. He's a director and lead investigator of the A.C.A.P.S, all right, which stands for American Cryptid and Paranormal Society. And he has over 25 years of experience investigating cryptid and paranormal activities, with a passion for studying and preserving the Native American tribe culture, folklore, and legends. He also knows about dealing with topics such as the occult, UFOs, forbidden archaeology, the Freemasons, the Knights Templar, secret societies, and many other government cover-up allegations and conspiracy theories. You know what that means? We're going to ask Christian about the sinking of the Titanic. But anyway, he holds a bachelor's level degree in psychology and minor in criminology from the University of South Florida, and an advanced master's of art and teaching degree from Western Carolina University. He's currently finishing a second master's degree in American history from Western Carolina University, and plans to continue into a PhD program. All right. He has worked in conjunction with Joshua P. Warren for many years at the American Cryptid and Paranormal Society in an effort to study fringe phenomena, discover scientific explanations to that which cannot be explained. Right? So, we're going to ask him, there's so much we could ask him about. Help me welcome him. How are you doing today, Christian?
I'm doing great. That guy sounds pretty impressive. I don't know who he is.
Who is that guy?
I don't know. Yeah.
Let me tell you something.
I gotta read that bio every day before I leave the
that.
house.
Yeah, let me tell you. Well,
That's an
there
old
you
one
go.
too.
I know. That's why I was reading it. I was like, I hope this is current. But
Ah,
okay.
it's just a couple. It doesn't matter.
But
How are you? And thank you again for that, Marlene. I love doing your show.
no,
I think
I
this
love
is
to
my
have you
fourth
on there. So
fourth
that's why
time.
I brought that thing about the conspiracies, because everything is a conspiracy
It
nowadays.
is. You know what's funny is I've actually had people. I was just listening to what you said. Conspiracy. Everyone used to think I was an idiot. When I was in college, they used to call me Spooky MacLeod. That was my
Okay.
nickname.
Okay.
And I've had people call me in the last year or so and say, "Hey, remember when we used to?" And I'll be like, "Yeah," and you were right. I'm like, "Nah, I know," because it's like they finally people get on board, and I get it. You used to have total trust in the government. You used to be able to trust people,
Oh no,
and
sometimes I would watch some stuff, and I'm talking to here 20 years ago or whatever. Something I'd be like, wow, they're crazy. That much
oh yeah,
crazy.
like when George Carlin got on the jazz about
Yes.
these group of people. He's 100% right. Uh,
Yes.
and the Titanic, what a great conspiracy theory. Because the truth of the matter is, there's something real behind that. Here's what
Yes.
I've always wondered: how did an iceberg sink an ironclad boat?
Right. Or
How does
how
that
could you
happen?
miss it? Or how could you like
Well, no, even
suppose?
if I don't care how big the iceberg is, you're still talking steel plates. All right, steel plates. I have that'd be like me trying to smash up my frying pan, my old school lodge frying pan with an
Right.
ice brick. It's not going to happen. I'm
Well,
gonna
and
I'm gonna end
this
up
is the
smashing
other
through
thing.
it. I just
You
don't see it.
know, supposedly these they lay out their navigation charts, so you're going to be going through the North Atlantic. There's going to be
But they
icebergs.
also knew that iceberg was there because the British run into it what a week earlier.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. It's not like, oh, we were in warm waters and there all of a sudden we had an iceberg. No, if you know what you're traveling through,
It's like
well,
here's the thing. I want once I see what they got paid out on their insurance, then you'll know the truth. Because I've never
well,
seen that. But Rothschild was supposed to be on that
yes.
boat.
Then a couple
So
of them
was
at the
it.
last minute
Yeah,
ended up
and
backing
he
out.
quit, canceled last minute, and so didn't what's the other Robert Barron, who's he was supposed to be on there too. You just
Yeah, there
mentioned
was
him. Uh,
J.P. Morgan.
J.P.
There was
Morgan was supposed to be on there. His whole staff was supposed to be on there. His wife, everything, and they all the last minute, like seriously, 5 minutes before the boat takes off, they just said, "No, we're not going." So you can't tell me someone didn't know what was going on. It's the same
well,
old story. It's the powers that be don't want people around for odd reasons. We know it was because of the Fed. Because
well,
you're right, Hoover was trying to push the Fed through right now. You know.
right. I'm looking this up. There's J.P. Morgan. He was
Yep.
one that canceled right before. Okay, he's claiming illness.
Yep.
Okay,
And
and
Rothschild was supposed to be on that boat, and he wasn't. One of
right,
them.
yeah, that it
And they
says he was.
financed it, didn't they? Didn't they finance White Star Lines?
I
Wasn't
think
there?
so. I think that they were involved somewhere. Like
So I thought they paid for it.
they, another notable figure canceled his reservation was Milton Hershey,
Yeah, Hershey. There you go. God,
the founder of the
thank
Hershey
God he
Chocolate
didn't get on there.
Company.
I wouldn't have my Hershey bars,
You
man.
would have missed out on the
I
Hershey
wouldn't have peanut butter
chocolate.
cups. Oh, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about the world without peanut butter
Forget
cups.
about J.P. Morgan. It's like,
Marlene, I don't want to think about the world without peanut butter cups. I'm sorry, I just
and
can't do it.
it's like, thank God, thank God, Mr. Hershey. I mean
Oh, bless
Milton or
him.
whatever.
Bless him.
But well, this is the thing. The other day I was reading because I do a lot of research. There was there was one time there's an entrance off the Columbia River up like by Oregon and Washington up there that's known. There's a lot of ships that wrecked, but there was around 1911 they had this ship that was coming in. It ended up like, in other words, if you don't know how to steer coming in through the entrance that takes you into the Columbia River, which is it's a port, this ship ended up on these rocks. They were able to like shoot a line over to the ship and get the crew of like 20 off of it. And everybody was saying like, hey, why didn't you steer away from it? Like, oh, because it was in the middle of the afternoon on a clear day. Because part of the problem there is that sometimes it gets real foggy, so some ships end up, but when it's bad weather. But that day was in the afternoon on a clear day, so they were asked, and there was reports of the captain being drunk, the second mate, everybody being drunk, and which normally you're not allowed to do that, especially if you're coming into port.
Yeah.
But anyway, it got wrecked. But later on, what they were saying was they disciplined like the captain and the first officers, like they suspended the license of one and the other. But what they were saying was, which I had never been aware of, that this was a sailing ship, and that around this time steamships had come out. So all these companies that owned all these clipper ships, everybody that was worth their salt had gone off and was captaining or working on steamships. and all these, anything that was basically driven by wind, they were like outdated. So in other words, what they were implying was that they had allowed the ship to wreck for the same thing, for the purposes of getting insurance money. So that because the ship was, even though the ship was like 20 or 30 years old, that's it. It was an obsolete thing.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at the old Clipper ships. I mean, I'm a huge fan. I've got, in fact, I've got models of the old boats everywhere. I love those,
Yeah.
and I'm a huge like USS Constitution. Just it's like I collect stuff from that. I mean, but you understand, I'm with you. These boats, once the steam engine came into play, everything was useless.
Well, they were
You know,
saying, well, why? Because they started looking at, because the captain had a long history. He was like 25 years, but he was known to have a problem with alcohol. But they were looking at the other officers, and they were very inexperienced. And they were saying, what are you doing with all this inexperienced crew? And they were saying, oh, because everybody that's got experience is now working on steamships. Nobody.
yeah, and that's a whole different animal.
Right. Nobody, none of your crew, none of your officers are working on a sail ship. And guess what? Except, unless you've got a captain with a drinking problem, and that was that. And yeah, it wrecked up on this rock that goes into the Columbia River on a clear day. And I guess everybody, and they sold it. They salvaged it. One company salvaged it for $1,000, and then when they saw how much they would have to go into, because there was a lot of waves coming in at that spot, they turned around. They sold it for like $500 because still everything was on there. Because basically, how they salvage is the same thing, the same way that they got the guys off of there. They go over there on a line, and they just would take everything that they could, that wasn't too heavy, and still the wreck is there. I mean, it's mostly gone. But same thing, it still had that steel hull.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And, but yeah, as far as that's not unheard of, where they would wreck ships on purpose or by accident, I mean, because there's like, hey, we need to recover our money somehow.
Well, I mean, no one's going to take a loss. I mean, that's business.
Of course.
And then that's what insurance companies are for. But I mean, if you think about it, that they've probably been, since there's been insurance companies, insurance company scams.
Oh yes.
I mean, so
yes. But no, they must have known some movers or shakers, because the insurance company. But at the end, they paid. They paid, and all these the captain and the things, they got a slap on the wrist, like, we're going to suspend your captain's license or something for like 6 months. And the other ones, they don't do that. His second mate got more in trouble than he did, and that was it. And everybody.
Well, like I said, when you get these maritime conspiracies, and I love them too. I'm with you. I love them because it's international law. You start dealing with stuff.
Yes.
You're 18 miles out. It's the Wild West out there.
Yes.
But my question is like, going back to the Titanic. Did anyone ever get paid off? Did White Star get paid off for the loss of the Titanic, the Olympia, and the Britannica? All right, because I never heard about any of that, and I'm still trying to comprehend how an iceberg sinks a modern vessel like that with steel iron siding. It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, this is what it's saying. The White Star was paid insurance for the Titanic. The ship's hull and machinery were insured for £1 million, which is approximately $5 million at that time, through Lloyd's of London and other London marine insurance companies.
But is that enough to cover the whole kit and caboodle?
The policy being blah blah. The insurance was for losses exceeding £150,000, meaning the insurers would only pay for damage above that threshold. So in other words, I had to eat the first $150,000.
Yeah, but the whole boat had to go at that point.
The White Star Line. Okay, so despite the massive loss, Lloyd's paid the White Star Line the full insured amount of £1 million within 30 days of the sinking. Okay.
That just doesn't seem like a whole lot of money to me for back then. Even back then.
Listen to this, though. It says the payout was a significant factor in the company's ability to recover financially, as the White Star Line also had an internal insurance fund that covered the remaining portion of the loss. But of course, £1 million will go a long way, especially when you're talking 1912. £1 million, that would take you that's pretty good. So yeah, that there was obviously a I don't know, and let me tell you something. I hate to say it, but that makes that conspiracy about using the about switching it out with the Olympic more plausible. Obviously, that we'll get money and we'll get rid of the ship that was already damaged in another accident, and that way, that and or sometimes, they would claim that they would build these ships with all these things like unsinkable, and they weren't really built that well, I guess is what I'm saying. So, yeah. What is it? Just follow the money? That saying?
Yeah.
And usually it'll take you in the direction of...
All right, well, so today, £1,000,000 in 1912 is $33,140,000 and 720 cents, or $7.20.
Right.
So that's 33 mil.
Yeah. Which, that's what I'm saying, back then.
That's a lot. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of cake today, but I mean, you just think they'd be doing something more. I don't know. I just, for me, human life is, you can't put a number on that. And for all those people that passed away.
One thing I never researched was, because I know nowadays, everybody gets sued over everything. Did any of the passengers, not the people, but did they ever sue the people that had money? Did they ever sue for?
I doubt it, because back then you'd get a beating. Like, they just send a brute squad to go get you.
The reason why I say that is that, remember, there was a shortage of lifeboats on there.
Yeah.
They didn't have enough lifeboats to get people off. Or they were letting these lifeboats down with just a couple of people in them instead of filling them up.
Well, yeah, but that's the other thing. They still have that class system. The band was playing.
Yes.
When they were, because they weren't allowed to say. I mean, today? I'd love to see how that would work out today. It'd be everyone
get out of the way.
Get out of the way. Hitting people with a violin. Get out of my way.
And I don't know how true it is, because I know sometimes that the third class passengers, that they were basically down in the...
Yeah, they were locked in.
And that they were locked in.
I believe it. Horrible. I totally believe it.
That's horrible.
You're dealing with, I mean, even though White Star was, based, they built them in Ireland, you're still dealing with a British business.
Yes.
And let's be honest, they are all about class systems even up to then. So they didn't care.
But that's got to be, I don't, it makes you wonder what they, that thing about, I'd be like, I'm not going to take that order. I'm opening this place up and whatever. The captain's going down with the ship anyway. Who's going to say any different? But again,
that's another thing. I mean, they said the captain went down, but did he really? We don't know.
Oh, you're right. We don't know.
He could have been dressed up like a woman, shaving his beard.
And just make sure. Oh my God, that would be great.
That's what they did. Hey, how many people dress like women?
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. If they know, man, I'm gonna get off this thing, and just don't and it's cold. It was cold out there, so I've got a good reason to drape myself up.
It's like if Jefferson Davis got caught in 1765 in Michigan. He was wearing his wife's shawl. He was basically dressed as a woman. So
there you go. Hey,
it's nothing new.
No, you're right. I didn't know that. I didn't know that about Jefferson Davis.
Oh yeah, he's a piece of work.
It's like, don't look too close, but here
He was an ugly woman.
Oh, still, but yeah, there's a lot of guys, I'm sure, that in a pinch is like, let me see how far I can get away with this.
Well, I mean, they're still doing it, and Iran, Iraq. You see these guys dress up as women, and then they're getting pulled over. You pull them off, and the guy's got a beard. And it's like,
I know. It's like, man, you got a hormone problem, lady.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. The world's crazy. But it's always been crazy.
And you know what? People are inventive. Some people is like, what's the worst that can happen? They get discovered, maybe not.
Yeah, you roll the dice. I would.
Roll the dice. When you got no choice, it's like, let me go with it.
You know what? It's better than just giving up.
Sure, of course.
It's better than just giving up.
All you need is a couple of inattentive,
That's it.
People see what they expect to see.
Exactly.
And you might be an ugly, tall, broad-shouldered lady.
Yeah.
But if they, like you see it, they see you with a shawl, it's just a tall, broad-shouldered
But I mean, honestly, I always think back to like, oh God, what movie was that? Stripes. You ever seen the movie Stripes with Bill Murray?
I saw Stripes a long time ago.
Remember when he's going into Russia? He doesn't speak any Russian, but he just smiles at the guys and hands them a bottle of vodka and gives them a hug.
Yeah, there's like
all right. That would probably work better than anything else.
Universal language.
Universal language. So yeah, I mean that's
absolutely.
Yeah. I've actually gotten into places, paranormal places that have been closed off to pretty much everyone, and I've actually, and I'm not ashamed to say I've bribed my way in, and it's usually with a bottle of something, bottle of single malt. Usually that's what it is, and I've had access to entire places for the whole night. And it's just complete payoff, but that's what it is. But I mean, if you don't take care of them, you're not getting in there.
Of course, of
You know,
course.
so I mean,
And
it's
people don't
but
realize that a
no one
lot
gets
of
hurt. We
these.
don't steal anything. But
Well, let me ask you, and I know that with paranormal, it works one of two ways. I know that some places, whether it's a hotel or even restaurant, sometimes they kind of want you to do the paranormal investigations, so they could say, "Oh, our place is haunted," as
mhm.
and and then there's others that are like, which sometimes I tend to believe more, that they're very wary now of letting people in there, like running
Most
around.
people are weary now. Most people don't
Yeah,
want to
I
be.
believe.
They don't want to be associated. Like there's a place in Nashville I talk about. I'm not going to give the name, but it's got a paranormal history since the 30s, and
Okay,
it's a very to this day, Marlene. It's a very active building. Very
okay.
active. Um,
What's can you say? Maybe not with the present, but what's the history? Or what do you think has
oh
caused
yeah, it
the
was built. It
phenomenon?
was built by a guy named E.W. Grove, and it was built as a
Okay,
pleasure palace, and it was just
really.
basically designed for gambling, prostitution, and drinking.
What is it during
And
Prohibition or what?
huh?
During
Yeah, during
Prohibition?
Prohibition, right,
Okay,
a little before that too. But it's where the wealthy would just go to party. And
right.
one of the stories is there was a prostitute, and she had two clients, a guy named Grove and a guy named Seeley.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all in Joshua P. Warren's book, Haunted Asheville, too. I mean,
Okay,
I'm not telling you anything you don't know.
okay.
But Grove and Seeley were the only two clients of this one particular lady of the evening. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Grove is Seeley's father-in-law. So I'm sure that makes
Okay.
Christmas real interesting. Hey, what'd you get the hook at? What'd you
Really?
get the hook at? I don't get
My
the same thing
God.
you got it. But anyway, she got tired of living in Asheville, and she wanted to move back to New York, but she didn't want to go broke. So
Right.
what she does is she tells them it was actually the plan was brilliant. Had it worked, I got to give her up there. She would have been up there with the masterminds. But what she did, she told both of them that they got her pregnant for 30 grand. She'd go away. Now $60,000 in the early 20s, a lot of money.
You're set for life for sure.
And what happened was after her plan went through, she falls off the fifth story balcony and lands where the ticket counter is today. And ever since then,
Oops.
she's been a haunting room 545, and we still get reports on her today. Like I said, Joshua's book, Haunted Astro, goes into a lot more detail than that, but
Okay.
that's something we still deal with to this day, and we still
So,
get
but let me
reports.
ask you something.
Mhm.
So I take it nobody was arrested. It wasn't investigated
Oh
like
no,
that.
they still don't even know who. There's allegations. One of the guys did it. One of the wives did it. They had a thug do it.
Yeah, somebody, a hitman,
But as
like
far as
came
I know, it was
over.
never investigated. And I could be wrong,
Right.
but that's just from
Right.
what I've read.
Well, no. You know what? I found that whenever you had one of these ladies of the night, like they met their end,
Hmm.
I really didn't get that much investigation unless it was
Well, yeah,
somebody.
I mean, there was another alleged serial killer in Asheville known as the Hat Man during
Okay.
Prohibition. He was going around killing nothing but prostitutes, and they never even opened up a file. Again, that's all hearsay, rumor, and Asheville folklore mythos. But I
Right.
totally believe it because
Hmm.
they wouldn't investigate. Why would they?
Well, and in I'm not gonna say no, but in a way, it would be like, okay, if we were gonna open an investigation, there's how many suspects that could be, you know,
Thousand. Who's drinking that night?
yeah, who's drinking that night, who's
Who's got a
like,
mom issue? Yeah, no, who's.
yeah, exactly, or whatever. And you know what's really funny is in not so much in these areas which were more populated, but in these brothels that they set up like in mining towns or
Mm-hmm,
frontier town where there was a big difference between the amount of women in town and the men.
mm-hmm.
A lot of these guys, let me tell you something, they would fall in love with these prostitutes or become very what's the word I'm looking for? Like
Enamored.
enamored, like own them, and when you would got these, I mean, they would get savage
Well,
out
they get
there.
jealous, and
They were
yeah.
one of these, and if she ever wanted to break up with him or
Mm-hmm.
he saw somebody else, it was like killing, like because back then men had those razors,
Yeah, it's just
and they would end up, and it was incredible how a lot of
yeah.
these
The
things could get
human
really ugly.
yeah, the human condition's never been particularly kind,
No, 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 no.
especially to ourselves.
Yeah,
We just
and
don't
it
seem
was
to
like,
like each
yeah,
other.
and then some people again, or like some of these women, they would end up dead. It was like, oh, who killed her?
But I mean, honestly, I hate
It
saying it, but
was.
like if you look at that TV show Deadwood, I think Deadwood is probably the most accurate depiction
Isn't that? I
of
love Deadwood. I love
because it's
Deadwood.
I do. I love that. I love that show, but that's probably exactly the way it was going down.
Because they even spoke
Yep.
the way.
So what? They're very elegant. You know,
Well,
you take it
because
to
now
the.
you see these shows that they're, even though supposedly, let's say the Old West, they speak like if they were in today's world.
Mhm.
And Deadwood, they spoke as people would.
Yeah, they spoke the way. It's like even in Tombstone. Even when you look at that, their vernacular was very. It was towards the way it was.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and they were very, they were very articulate. They were very.
Yes.
But here's what's going to happen. You know, and
Right.
the word gentleman was thrown around a lot. But let's be honest, it wasn't a real genteel time.
Well, in a lot of these places, well, especially a lot of these frontier towns or mining towns, people don't realize that once a word got out that, let's say, gold or anything, or they had some type of mining, you would get people sometimes from, not forget the country, from around the world that would descend.
Well, yeah, I mean, remember, the first gold rush took place in this country in 1799, was in North Carolina, Asheville area.
I didn't know.
All right. Yeah, well, most people don't. It's not until 1849 that it hits California, which is why you have the San Francisco 49ers. That's where they're
right,
49.
Exactly.
All right. But so you got a 50-year gap.
Yes.
Between where the gold's coming from, but most of it's coming out right here in Appalachia. That's why you have so many gold and silver mines and gem mines. Remember, you're dealing with the oldest mountains on the planet. At one point in time, this whole mountain range was as tall as Everest, if not taller. So over the millennia, it's just come down. All the minerals and deposits and everything have just been sunk in the ground. So I guarantee, even if we were to really start going for more mineral wealth, we probably have more in Appalachia than we do in the rest of the country. It just hasn't been discovered yet.
That's very interesting. I did not know.
I mean, when you start looking at it scientifically, these are facts.
Yes.
So This is what happened. This is where the first gold came from. This is where we get Rose Gold and Tennessee Gold and all that. That's where all this comes from. It's all Appalachia. So, I mean, it's fascinating when you think about it. And then look at the mineral wealth. You have steel in Pennsylvania, oil, coal, in West Virginia. So all these mineral wealth, these deposits, to this day, there's still more mass. We've got more natural resources than anyone else on the planet, from what I've heard.
Well, as a matter of fact, that's why that area around Pennsylvania, they call it the Rust Belt and all that.
Right. So, I mean, we haven't even begun. When Trump was in office, when he was 45, when we were going off and taking our own oil and shale and fracking, and I'm not a fan of doing any damage to the environment. Don't get me wrong.
No, I know what you
mean. They found more mineral wealth than anywhere else on the planet.
Yes.
So it's like, and let me preface this, Marlon. I'm the first person to say we need fossil fuels are unnecessary. We need to be using fusion, cold fusion, nitrogen. There's absolutely no reason why we need to be running on any kind of fossil fuel.
In the meantime,
it's disgusting.
That's the thing, though.
But that's just me, because I'm a firm believer that we already have this technology. But look what happened to the environment. Look what happened to the governments. Look what happened to everything. Our whole value system is everything in wealth. Everything is based on oil.
I think also, besides that, even if we don't look at that, I would think that let's say the fusion, if you're going to transfer that, it would have to be a process of maybe years. You know what I'm saying? To let go of.
I think right now, if Uncle Donald, that's what I call it, President Uncle Donald. I think if Uncle Donald got on TV and said, "All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to subsidize. We're already 31 trillion in debt, so we might as well just add another trillion. But what we're going to do?
What's one more trillion, right?
What's one more trillion? What we're going to do is we're going to take everyone's cars and we're going to switch them over to nitrogen. So all we have to do is change out the gas tanks and part of the engine. Yeah, that's pretty much from what I understand they'd have to do. I'm sure it's a whole lot more than that, but realistically, so that means my 05 Subaru Outback, aka Cryptid 1, all right, who's got 200,000 miles on her, said, "Okay, we're brand new again."
Right.
And now we're just going to run on, I'm going to run on some water, and I'm just going to pour a gallon of DeSanti in there, and I'm good for 5,000 miles. So,
you know who's also going to put their 2 cents worth in is all these car manufacturers. Like, how are we going to profit from this?
Hey, here's what I got for them. Bang! You've been making money enough.
I'm going to tell you this. Those are the first ones that are going to be like,
yeah, but I can actually see Trump doing that. If anyone's got the youngs to do it, I can see him doing it.
But you know what? And I know a lot of people, because of this thing with the EV, where hey, if you wanted to do EV, that's fine. You want to do EV?
They're worthless. I'm sorry, they blow up.
But yeah, exactly. But you know what? What is it? What's the range on them? 200 and something.
I live in the mountains, Marlene, and I know you live in Florida, and you've got some hills around you. But I live in the mountains.
Yes.
And if there's a storm brewing, and I've got maybe quarter tank of gas or quarter of battery left. I'm going to take the gas over the battery because I know I'm going to be able to go up a mountain, down a mountain.
Let me tell you something. I had family that lived. I mean, I've been out there driving, but I had family that lived in Knoxville, in Tennessee, for a while. And even when I've gone out there, you see people that I see their driveways are up the hill. The house.
Yeah, they go like this. They snake up. Looks like going to Dracula's castle.
I'd be a nervous wreck. I mean, how do you guys got? But you can tell. I even think UPS. Who delivers out here? Because, like you said, it's like steady climb, and then it comes around, and stuff like that. And I'd be like,
but there's no way I'm doing that in a wind-up battery-powered test. I'm not doing it.
Right.
Hey, listen. I think battery cars are. First of all, I think they are a complete joke because they do more damage to the environment than anything else.
They don't look at the.
Okay, you got to understand. You still have to plug it in to charge it, and where's that energy coming from? And look at all the damage you get in the battery stuff together. And on top of that, they're junk. I'm sorry. I lived in Florida for 25 years. I lived on the coast. And if I spent $50,000 on a Tesla and I drive to Brighton Beach or I go to Lido Key and I drive in some salt water, which is going to happen,
right?
And the thing blows up, I'm going to be a little ticked off.
That's the problem that they have.
I'm going to be a wee bit ticked off.
The batteries to fix them.
And it's a joke. It doesn't work.
How far you can go on a charge?
Well, if they made the roof solar and they made the whole thing like the way it was supposed to be originally, that'd be one thing. But I'm sorry, I just don't trust it, and I don't know anyone that does.
No, it's
like I said, if you're in the city or something, it's different.
But
still, I'm out.
Even now, I'll tell you what. Even now, with the cost, everybody's energy costs, electricity.
Oh yeah.
I'm talking. It's like, hey, let me tell you something. You say, well, I'm not putting in gasoline. It's like, yeah, but how much does it cost you to charge it? So you need a special.
Exactly. That's why we're having problems up here where people actually go into charging stations, and they'll leave their car overnight and charge it, and other people won't get to use it.
What is that problem?
It's rude. One of them too. They act like it's theirs, and it's not. But it's always some,
Right, but and the thing is, let's face it, gasoline. You pull into a gasoline station, you put in, and that's it. Keep going.
Yep, and that's the way it is. And I don't worry about it dying in the weather. Getting too cold. Yeah. That was the other thing. Apparently, when these things get real cold, they don't start. I don't know how true that is. I've heard that.
I don't know.
I actually had a friend of mine had an electric car, and he said there's like a week this winter we just had past in 2024. It wouldn't start. But the second it warmed up 10 degrees, he was good to go.
See, that's the thing, and that's the kind of stuff they never tell you about when you're buying it.
By the way, you're gonna need a warm up suit for your car.
Yeah, I was like, that's the.
You gotta keep that plugged in too. You gotta keep it at 40 degrees.
Yeah, no.
Otherwise, it won't start.
I hate to say it, but a lot of people, I think, not everybody, but because I know some people are okay with it, but I think there's a lot of people that are regretful.
I'm telling you, hydrogen is the way to go. Hydrogen and cold fusion. You can't tell me we don't have it.
Let me tell you something. But you said there's a lot of movers and shakers behind fossil fuel industry.
Oh yeah,
I don't think that's.
But I'm telling you, if there was one president that would push for it, and he really got behind it,
like I said, it would.
I think Trump is the guy that would do it.
It would be a transition.
Yeah, but you could do it. Yeah, but you could do it in 2 years if you're all right. Look, here's what I'm gonna do. If you've got one car in your family and you want to get it done,
you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna poke a hole in that. Ready? Here we go. You want me to tell you why it would take longer?
Why?
Because they don't have enough skilled labor to do the work.
Oh, that's true too. No, you're absolutely right. I keep forgetting that. I keep forgetting that. I still think I'm living in the America I grew up in, Marlene. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there you go. Yes.
I got my American flag up front too. I just keep forgetting it's not the 80s.
And every once in a while, I run into that reality every once in a while. Like, what do you mean next? What? No. Yes.
Well, after the training and everything was done. How about that?
Yeah, they're lucky if you get somebody, the personnel, like, hey, we'll have somebody out there tomorrow, or like.
Well, I've always said if I had to do my life over again, the first thing I would have done, college, never would have done it.
Yes.
It's a waste of time. Complete waste of time for me. I would have gone in the military for 8, 16, 20 years, and then would have done something with HVAC.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what I would have done. Because college for me, I had a good time. I love learning, but all I got out of college was some. I don't know if you can see what's behind me on the wall there.
You could have done the Ray
I got a couple of pictures on the wall from that, and a hell of a lot of student loan debt that they lied to me about when I was taking it. So my student loans were locked in at 1%, And the night Uncle Obama comes in and takes over, the next morning he went from 1% to 7%. Now I'm liable for that. And how did that happen? And that happened to everyone in the nation. So I'm out. And then on top of that, I'm a teacher. I'm supposed to be getting these great deals. Never happens.
I know that people either
Uncle Joe never gave me a break.
Nobody.
He said, "I'm going to take care of the teacher." I'm like no one ever took care of me. Nobody. I don't even know anyone in education got taken. I don't know anyone.
My son that we talk about, we say handymen rule the world now, because believe it or not, that handyman rule the world. Why?
They do, and you know what? They should. Because we got so arrogant. Here's what happened. The 80s. We were programmed in the 80s. And I'm saying this because I grew up in the 80s.
Right.
Once you're done with high school, you go to college. It doesn't matter what else happens. You go to college. Yes. When you're done with college, you do anything you want. When you go out with college, it doesn't matter what degree you're going to make $60,000 a year to start. That's what we were told.
Yeah.
I remember the slideshows. I remember the movies. I remember. Yes. Okay, Bobby didn't go to college, and he barely graduated high school. Now he's making $212 an hour working at McDonald's. Yes. And it completely flipped.
Oh, it has. It has.
And because totally has. Because during the Clinton era, all these factories got shut down, and everything went to China and Mexico. So that's where all the skilled labor went. Right. So you had this deficit of time, and then he shut down 76,000 business. But
what? Even then, I think a lot of people, because of what you were saying about the college, because before people would, let's say you're just one of these people like, hey, college is not my thing.
I didn't like it. My parents made me go. I didn't want to go.
People would apprentice, they would learn, or they would take over their dad's business or something, and you could make a very good living, all right? But you were always, like you said, you were encouraged, like, oh, well, you know what? You could do better for yourself. Go and, get a degree.
Well, Marlene, I'm not that bright. So, school to me was just like, it was kind of torture. So you have these natural kids, like, that could just do anything, blah, blah, blah. And they're doing nothing now. I've got friends of mine. I got friends of mine that went to, Phillips Exeter Academy. They went to private schools, prep schools. Yeah. Number one and all this, number one and all that. They're not doing anything better than I am.
Well, no, the thing is this, that, no, wait, I take it back. I'll tell you what. If I tell everybody, this is my favorite. If you tell somebody now, without a calculator, to do long division or multiplication of several numbers with decimals, they wouldn't know how to do it without a calculator.
You know what I used to do to my kids when I was teaching? I used to write cursive on the board.
And they'd be like, "What is?"
And they'd be like, I was telling them it was Latin.
And that's funny.
And then I got a complaint. Mr. Mac writes in Latin on the board. I can't read it.
Right, yeah, it's like, I don't know why they've done away with cursive.
Well, apparently it's coming back because they just flipped a bit.
I remember I was doing cursive writing in second grade.
That's when I was doing it. Remember we had the 3-line paper? You had the 3-line paper and the craples had the
3-line paper. Yeah. You're right.
Like to this day, my cursive is the only thing like most people can read. Yeah. Because my handwriting's terrible.
Well,
and
that was the MD and you trying to get out.
Yeah, get them. Yes, yeah.
But yeah, the I mean, we could go down as far as we could even go down the conspiracy that people have been dumbed down or made any.
Oh, you can't tell me people have been dumbed down. I don't even want to get in the vaccine thing. That's a whole nother show.
Yeah,
that's a whole nother show.
How's this? I could tell, and I think the only people when you're alive at X amount of time is when you can compare and tell. Man, this is there's always been schools that were not known to be the best. That's always okay. But now across the board, like the levels of expectations.
You can't even fail by missing absences now in North Carolina. Exactly. They just passed that. You cannot if you miss. I'm guessing you can miss every day your senior year, and they're still going to pass you. What are we doing? What the heck are we doing?
That's what I'm talking about.
How are we going to compete with the Chinese on an intellectual level?
Yeah,
they're going to be. this next generation is going to be like, duh.
Well, I remember
they're going to be, every other country is going to be speaking, and hyperboles and
because this
science.
is the thing. Everybody's like, well, I'm thinking, okay, we're not talking here like super advanced. Hey, I need you to, mathematics or something. But there's a friend of ours. His wife, she used to be a journalist, but then she said, I want to stay home. And she started working for a community college, and what she was doing was, you were supposed to take a test like when you graduate from high school.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Just to make your English and math requirements.
Mm-hmm.
And if you didn't, what she was doing, she was teaching the class to bring them up to like so that you could start taking your quality courses. I remember her telling me, she goes, Marlene, sometimes I would do that, that what did you do in the summer, when you did in school. She would say, just to get an idea of how good their writing was or wasn't. She goes, these kids graduate from high school. She goes, their spelling, they didn't know what a paragraph was, nothing. She says it was atrocious.
Yeah, you know what? And I can say, I'll branch off that. You and I have spoken many times over the years. I used to teach college prep or high school graduation courses in jail.
Okay.
And some of my guys, I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. I had, these guys running for life, double murder, triple murder, gang leaders. And let me tell you something. I honestly learned a few things. One, never judge a book by its cover.
Right.
And two, if half of these guys, honestly, because I read their cases, I mean, I'd be nosy. If half of these guys had an extra $5,000, they wouldn't be in jail.
All right. Yeah.
It was, and I know when you did law enforcement, I know it's different when you're looking through the eyes of the people that put you in jail. But I know you have seen people that don't belong in jail.
Of course not.
Or they got caught up in a bad. And the reason why I say this is because it's all education.
Of course.
Everything, I have been saying this for years. I'll say this on my dying day. Every issue we have, whether it be racism, stupidity, laziness, sloth, bad shit, everything can be fixed with education, depending on what you consider education. Education, to me, is making myself and everyone around me better through knowledge.
Yeah, sure.
And that's all you need. You just need the knowledge to fix things. You need the knowledge to help fix yourself. If you have that, you're set. But when you don't,
there's a lot of people that, even if, let's say, academics was not your thing, they were smart enough that they learned how to do certain things, fix things, like you said, or build things. Or
I had kids in my class that were artists.
Yes.
Brilliant, just lazy, didn't want to do anything. But I've got like pictures over the years of some of my students. I'm looking at them; they're on my wall right here. And this kid's going to be a Van Gogh if he wants to be. Exactly. But it's just it blows me away that society's going to look at him and say, "Oh well, that's not real talent." Blah blah blah. It's not true,
It depends, but I guess my point though, Christian, is that there's the basic foundation of education, like what you get in grade school, is what's missing, which is arithmetic. Right.
It is. It's all basic. If you had the basics. Right. In 1970, we were the #1 nation for education on planet Earth.
I'm not talking about that. Hey, like I said, geometry or calculus.
No, #1 nation for education, and that was public schools.
Yes, public schools.
And then the NEA moves in, and between that time and this, we are now 26th. We have the lowest. I mean, I'm saying I'm a public school teacher. I'm knowing it's true because I've been there. I sit there and look at stuff, and a lot of people say, "Oh, it's cultural, this and that." No. It has nothing to do. Because my Latin kids, my ESL, my English second language kids, they would have a hard time, but when I break it down, slow down for them. Right. At the end of the day, they would take more time on their work because they wanted to make sure they understood it and were doing the right job. So, like my English, my Spanish kids, whether from Cuba, Mexico, South America, whatever, though my kids, because I would take a bunch of them. I speak un poquito español, but growing up in Florida,
yes.
I'm very patient with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'd have a lot, and those kids within a year would be writing APA style. Their cursive it looked like a computer would print it out.
Right.
And it was most of them, I got to say it, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm not showing this, but it was my girls. The girls would kill it.
Yeah.
And because they wanted to work harder, they wanted to get that knowledge because they didn't want to live the way their parents lived.
But that's what the intent.
But see, that's the thing is, but you also have to have the teachers that are willing to put the time in. I went and took Spanish classes.
But you know what? It also
for 2 years.
To do with if the family thinks that education is important.
Exactly. But see, that's the thing. And you know that better than I do.
If you come home, I can tell you something. If education has always been like, you better not get a bad grade. Yep. I'm not going to tell you, if you get a straight A's, but what I'm saying is that you're looked at like the expectations for you to do well in school, and you better pay attention and all these things. If you get that feedback since you're a kid, but unfortunately nowadays,
nope, it's not that. And I'm Catholic, and I'm practicing Catholic, and I tell people I'm going to keep practicing until I get it right. But I see the kids in Catholic school.
Right.
And their academics It's like I feel sorry for my public school kids. It's like you can't, you can't compete with these kids.
Yes.
They're gonna dust you, and it all boils down to money.
I went through
And
12
it
years of
didn't used to be like that. It didn't used to be like that.
I went through 12 years of Catholic school.
Okay.
All the way till senior.
Well, so you know what I'm talking about. So you had an advantage over. Tell me you didn't have an advantage over all your friends that went to public school.
Well, I remember, because to me it was like there's nothing worse for a teenage girl than having to wear a uniform. When you're a kid, you don't care. But I had some friends from the neighborhood that went to the local public school, and I'd beg my mom, please. And the public school's like literally like 3 blocks from where I lived at, 3 blocks or less. I was like, please, I want to, because I didn't want to wear that uniform. And she was like, nope, no, you're not. And I remember, we would have different days off because the public school system has a different calendar.
Mm-hmm.
And once in a while, I would go over there and I would go to the office. I would say, look, I'm thinking of maybe coming next year. Could you give me a pass to spend a day with, to the classes?
Yeah, my friend.
I'm not kidding you. I'd be like, I would walk in, not because I'm not smart, because I'm not. I would walk in, like, I would hook up with a couple of my friends and I would go to their classes with them and it was like,
you did that stuff 3 years ago, yeah.
It was like, I remember one time I walked into a classroom and it was stacked with dictionaries. The teacher had all these words written on the blackboard. And he says, I want you to take the dictionary and I want you to write out the definition for each of those words. He sat at his desk, didn't say another word during the entire class, and then left. And not because of anything, but I was looking at it and I was going, I don't need a dictionary definition on that and that and that and that is this. But I'm saying there was no teaching involved.
No, but I mean that's that even then that's just a lazy teacher.
Yeah, I know.
When I went to high school in Florida, I was in middle school when I moved to Florida, and I went from Maine.
Okay.
And they were at least. I'm not trying to sound arrogant because like I said, I'm not that bright, but they were at least 3 years behind where I was. I mean, when I was in math, I'm thinking back. I remember sitting in math class going, "Wait a minute, we already did this."
Yep.
And I remember, and then what happened to me is I got so bored, they thought I was really stupid.
No,
so it was like, okay, well, maybe there's something wrong with them. I'm just sitting there like, I've already done this. I don't want to do it anymore. And as a kid, I was a jackass. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was stubborn, but because I didn't want to do it again. You know what I mean? It was like, I already did this. Show me something I don't know.
Exactly.
And then because that defiance became like, the root of my personality with the teachers, because I don't need you at this point because you already done. And then it wasn't arrogance. I was bored.
And you end up being a teacher?
I was, yeah. Well, one of the reasons why I became a teacher, my fiance Christina, her parents were both teachers, but her mom was my dean.
Okay.
When we were in middle school.
Okay.
And I used to get in trouble a lot.
Uh-huh.
But I met my girlfriend. I met my fiance when we were in high school, and we got back together. We've known each other for 36 years.
Okay.
So we used to date when we were kids. But I remember the first time I went to her mom's house and her dad's house, I didn't know that was her mom.
Oh, my God.
So I knock on the door, I'm all smiling, and I swear to God, it was one of those moments where if I had a lightsaber, I would have gone.
Yeah, it's like, uh-oh.
But they were so good to me, and they were, even over the years, when I saw them, they were so kind to me. I remember thinking, that's the way a teacher should be. And I remember thinking, if my in-laws were like this the whole time, maybe I can do it. I can fake it till I make it. And that's kind of what I based my whole, premise on teaching with. And then, I was lucky to do STEM education and then things like that. I'm actually not working as a teacher this year. I took a semester off.
Okay.
And it's just when I thought I'd have an easier time getting back in, it's not working. There's just no openings right now. Really? So I'm just doing the haunted stuff, but I'm happy. I'm not complaining. I'm fine. I mean, it's not the issue. I do miss it. I don't miss the stress.
Right. I know. There's rewards and there's down, and I mean, we could get into this thing about teaching and how much that's changed. But let me ask you. You said this thing about the haunted tours.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you something. Have you come across any place that is unknown? That but how certain places get a reputation that
I will tell you this place right now, and I'm gonna tell you this right now. Christine and I worked on this place. American Cryptid and Paranormal. I'm Cryptid Guy. Christina's known as Cryptid Girl. CryptidGuy.com. This place, when I say Marlene, you've known me for a long time. This place kind of freaked me out. We had Bigfoot tracks and Dogman tracks within 20 feet of each other. Um, Paranormal activity, radiation. My Geiger counter was going off 3 rads in certain places. This place,
Wow.
and his whole family's living there. And the way the property's built up, like there's 3 different houses, but everyone's seeing different stuff. I got the older brother seeing his dead grandmother in the garage. This poor lady is basically getting hounded by a dog man in her front yard. And when we went there, there's tracks almost 10 inches wide, but it looks just like a cane, just the claws and everything. We went around the back corner to where the stream is, and all of a sudden there's an 18 by 9 footprint, bare footprint, with a mid-tarsal break, and it's got a 6-foot stride. And it's just all right there.
Is that like out there? Is it in the middle of the woods?
No, it's on the Tennessee border with us. And it is out there. I mean, it is totally out there. But then she starts telling me, she goes, well, the really things that scare me is when the UFOs come down. Because that's when it's really scary. Because what will happen is we'll lose power, and it'll just be dead. You don't know what's going to happen.
I'm going to tell you something, for lack of a better word, it almost sounds like a Skinwalker Ranch kind of thing.
It is radiation. That's what threw me, Marlene. Because I know, I go out with a radiation meter after that one incident I had with the UFO thing. And it's plugging 3 rads solid over this one area.
Weren't you wigged out when you picked up that reading?
Was that what, huh?
Weren't you wigged out when you picked
up that reading? Wigged out wasn't the word. I was like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah, like.
I mean, this was like, what the? It's in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Is someone dumping toxic waste? I mean, was out there and he's dumping toxic waste? I don't know. It was crazy. Because it was just, but it was completely, I know, and that was recent. And we're still doing research on that place. The problem is there's so much going on, you don't know where to start.
What's the history? Do you know the history of the land or anything?
Cherokee Nation, allegedly, there was, during the Civil War, there were some murders of some African Americans there. Okay. Revolutionary War, allegedly, there was a whole British battalion killed up in there. But the thing is, it's hard to find in history because the town's changed its name 3 times.
When a lot of times things like this go on, and it's not really documented.
Well, it's not, because honestly, the town has legally changed its name 3 times in the last 40 years. Okay. So I don't even know what it was, 150 years ago.
You would have to do some very deep. And again, I tell people, sometimes, especially when you get these hauntings or these things, even. It's supposedly, let's say, a modern subdivision, and then you do investigation, you look at the land or what the history of the land is. I go, you know what? That's what's recorded. A lot of times, stuff happens. You have communities that do burials. That wasn't an official town. It was maybe like a settlement of people, and not everything. Or you know how you hear about serial killers using certain areas as dump sites for their bodies.
Yes.
That could have happened 100, 200 years ago, and there was nobody there to take a note and saying, this psychopath is dumping bodies off at this location. And then fast forward 150 or 200 years, all of a sudden eventually something gets put on the land, and you get a lot of weird stuff. And the origins, forget it, you're never going to find it.
No, and you won't, because they don't want you to. I mean, someone knows, but they're not going to tell.
Or, sometimes I've heard of, like, let's say, when sometimes people do excavations, let's say to put in a pool or something, that they might dig up something like unusual, either bones or even a coffin or something, that they'll say, okay, what was out here? But outside of that, people.
It's funny you mention that. I know developers here, and I'm not going to give names. And let's just say this is a hypothetical. But I was talking to a developer once, and I said, allegedly. Say you're out there digging a foundation for a family. We have cellars here in North Carolina.
Okay.
And you start running into body parts and things like that.
Sure.
He goes, well, that's why we always tell the owner to have an extra $5,000, because that's what it's going to cost. Because
if you run into what?
If they run into bone fragments or bones or blah blah blah, what they'll do is say, well, for an extra $5,000, this goes away. And if it doesn't,
for a minute, I was like, okay, now yes, and I know I've heard of that.
And what happens if they don't? Then they call the state, and then you lose it anyway. So it's
right.
It's tricky.
Yes. People don't realize that even if, let's say, It's okay. This is not a recent murder. This is not like, hey, some
No, it
guy.
could happen 300 years ago. It doesn't matter. Still human
But
remains.
once it becomes like
Yeah.
a historic, not historical, but they're doing some type of digging,
Mm-hmm.
and if they determine that it's Native American, it's like, my God,
It's over. It's no longer your property. You lose it.
right, good.
And you eat it. You don't get paid for it. You eat it.
No, remember, like this was since you were in Florida. This must have been, well, God, maybe 30 years ago. That in Miami,
The pyramids? Yeah, they found the pyramids?
No.
Yeah.
There's there's the Miami River, and it comes in
Yeah.
off the Atlantic, and as a matter of fact, it comes in right through the downtown of Miami, and this it's prime real estate right on the water. This developer's he had cleared the land. He's about to put a hotel, excavating. Was it that it was the circle? It was some type of
Yeah, it was the pine. They found the it would have been a pyramid, but they
and it
found
was
out.
like a circle, but
Yeah.
it was like right there, like right on the banks of the
Yeah.
Miami River.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. It was.
That was about 30 years ago. Yeah.
And it's that construction they never built. It was like that's it.
But that guy lost he lost it.
Yes.
He didn't. No one wrote him a check saying, "Here, thanks for the trouble." That didn't happen. He lost.
Yes.
And that's why people don't talk about it. That's why developers don't. We probably would have so many more artifacts from the country if the government would say, "Hey, listen, if you're running this, let us know, and if this trouble happens, we'll buy you out." That's fair is fair. But they don't do that.
Okay, right. And this is the thing. This was by the Tequesta Indians, discovered in 1998.
Yep.
And I remember going by there. That at one point they had even put up like a perimeter fence. I'm not telling you, it's like right on the water. They were saying,
Yeah, no, I was there because that's when they put the stones had holes in them for logs.
yes,
And when you put the logs in, they made huge pyramids.
and they were saying that this obviously that's what they would do. They would put it right next to the water. That this made sense. But yeah, I remember nothing.
Yeah, because they were floodproof too. Because remember, they were up so high, the bottom was.
They let me tell you something. They never built anything on it, and
it never will. It never will.
But say yes, I know I've heard of that. A lot of people will like, nah, you didn't find anything because God forbid I'll lose. It'll come to a standstill.
Well, it's like when I got a couple of places I go, and I'll find arrowheads all over the place, and I just leave them there. I'm not taking because I'm not dealing with that hassle.
Well, see,
I've seen people get arrested for that stuff, and it's like, how can you get arrested for picking up a rock? Well, it's a National Historic Artifact. For who?
Right, exactly.
It's
sometimes people don't really even realize what they got in their hand.
Well, I've got when I told you we do treasure hunting a lot, and when we do our treasure hunting, we've got one of the best metal detectors you can find. You can use it. It's underwater. It's on ground, and there's parts of a national park systems where if I've got that in my car, and a park ranger sees it, they'll seize it and then find me.
You know what? Now that you said that, let's go. I know we're on the paranormal bent, but I'm gonna segue off of that because, as a matter of fact, they were talking about that. Supposedly people can't go on your property or anything without a warrant. That's trespassing.
That's all bull.
Well, they were talking about, and I was unaware of this, that I guess the equivalent of either like a park ranger or a fish and wildlife. I'm not sure exactly what the title is.
I think those guys are federal, so I'm with you.
It's federal level.
Yeah.
They have something that's called like open land claim, that they basically can go on your land. And you see this, they say more often when you have people have acreage, okay, and they've captured them. People, how put the wildlife cams out in their property, and all of a sudden they've captured this ranger guy walking around their property. Like, what are you doing out here? And basically,
I've actually had that happen. There was an issue about 3-4 years ago. It happened around Black Mountain, and this gentleman, he owned a good chunk of land, and he had some Bigfoot activity.
Okay,
and we put out. I just gave him two of my older trail cams. Just gave him, and then he went out and bought like 5 or 6 more.
Right.
We had one area where we had one way up in a tree. Right. It was up there, like we had to climb the tree, put it up there. And you honestly weren't going to see it, but just the way the branches were, it was a perfect line of sight because we actually had to take a rock and stick it behind the camera to get like the angle. And it was just one of those things. It was sublime. It was perfect. You know what I mean? It was just, we got this great area to shoot. And that's the only one that was never found. But we actually had a picture of a ranger, what we think was a ranger, because you really couldn't see his face, but we saw like the cutting. He was cutting down the other ones and throwing them in a bag
Wait, this is what
on
happened. Same
private land.
thing.
Yeah.
What was? Oh my God, what was it? Same thing. They saw him. Like in other words, move it. He didn't. In other words, I guess it was a trail or something. So he came and he moved that camera so that it would like shoot. But what he didn't realize, but they had another camera,
Yep.
like you said, that captured him coming in there and doing, moving it. Like he just shifted it around so that it wouldn't. And
the gentleman who owned all the property had that picture,
right.
And he took it to the local police, and they confiscated all of his equipment and took it.
Now, why? Say why would you?
So why? And that's still always been a big question mark. But that's the kind of stuff that happens all the time. Yeah, the feds are going to do whatever they want. They have full knowledge of all this stuff. They know exactly what's going on.
But there was something that they were talking about that I was like, what? So it's something called open land or something like that, which basically it says that these federal officers that work, like I'm going to say park rangers, but I'm not sure that's their exact title. That basically they could do that. That they could wander.
It'd be fish and game, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be fish and game? Because that's federal.
For example, here in Florida, Fish and Wildlife it's a state level agency, but bottom line, I wasn't aware of that.
Again, nothing surprises me.
They could just like wander into your property acreage, like I said, mostly, and there's nothing to stop them. None of that, like, hey, this is private property. Well, nope, that doesn't matter.
I got one for you. Go ahead. And it takes place in Mayaca, right off Mayaca State Park.
Yes.
A woman was renting a trailer out there, and I know exactly where this is. It's actually in Sarasota.
Okay.
And a woman was renting property out there, and something had been thumping the side of the trailer and messing with her and keeping her kids up. And she came home late one night, and she saw this thing, and she had a 38. So I could see a weapons permit, and she put 6 rounds of 38 in this thing's head.
Okay.
Well, then all of a sudden it becomes, oh my God, I killed a monster. What is this thing? This all heats up. The police show up. Fish and Game show up. And they end up arresting her for discharging a firearm in city property. And they basically cut the whole city off, get this thing, get it out of the way, and put this woman in jail for like 48 hours. And one of her things was, wait a minute, I'm renting that property. Technically, that's my house. That's where I live. I was defending me and my kids. I have rights. And they were like, no, you have absolutely no rights. We'll tell you what your rights are. And, thankfully they ended up dropping them, but that was after they got everything out of there. They went in there. They took the dirt where this thing fell.
So I was asking, what did she see, or what did she think?
She said it was a Bigfoot. She said it was a Bigfoot. She goes 8 foot tall Bigfoot. She said it was coming for me. I thought I was going to die. She was a real good shot. She said she got all 6 rounds in the head. It dropped. She was hearing her kids screaming in the background because the kids were watching this thing go for mom. Like, Mommy, watch out, Mommy. I mean, it was a whole big deal.
Right.
And I know that happened. I actually heard it. I heard about it, and then I heard about it on I heard another guy cover it.
Okay.
But I knew where that location was because I was down there at that point in time. I was there.
This was I know where Mayaca is.
Yeah, it was in Mayaca. And this was about 6 weeks after they had that sighting. Remember they had that big sighting in Mayaca where the guy had the telephoto lens. He was taking pictures, and it was moving. It was this big, and they figured it was 8.5, 9 foot tall, and it was bipedal, covered with hair.
I did not hear that.
Well, that was all in Sarasota.
Really?
And that was like right after that happened. And then there was some other stuff that happened. Then they had a dogman incident in the same park, and the guy that reported it, they fired.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm dead serious, man. All this all happened. It was a hot spot out there.
And you know why?
Still is.
My camera's...
That's all right.
No, you know who that is? That's my cat back there. Pulling. But anyway, you know why? I was looking this up. Now that you said that, back in 77, okay, there's I don't know if you've heard of this town called Gibsonton or Gibtown that's just south of Tampa.
And I know it is, yeah.
Back in 77, they found 17-inch footprints out there.
Mm-hmm.
All right? About 5 feet apart. They found broken branches, a bunch of stuff. And they were saying that for like a week, they would have like the dogs in the neighborhood wig out. And one lady that the property, she says that, I can't remember what kind of a dog she had. That the dog, normally that dog would just run off and go after anything that was out there. Refused to like when it hit under their house.
Yeah.
And that was in, you know, that was
Well,
after
when the original picture of the Sarasota skunk ape came out, people don't realize I took pictures. I was there 2 days after that picture was released in Sarasota, and I was with the Sarasota Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
And first of all, that woman was completely just made out. She was not treated right. But why that particular thing was happening, they were eating. She had a pink grapefruit tree there.
Okay.
And she said she's watching this thing put an entire grapefruit in its mouth every time it grabs one, and just eating a grapefruit.
Yes.
And that picture you see, that bush is about 9.5, 10 feet tall.
Okay.
And you know what I'm talking about when you see the stairs. It looks like almost an orangutan. She goes,
Yes.
that thing had to have been 8.5 foot tall. But there was other witnesses that called the police and said, hey, there's some big monkey in there. That had been going on for a while. And then the sheriffs finally showed up when she took that Polaroid.
Well, they had that story. They had the same thing, where the neighbors kept hearing like things like weird noises. You know, after a while, people, you know, especially if you live in a residential area or something, you get to know what noises. You know, dogs in the area. You know, when you hear something like that, where did that come from? And even the neighbors. And then it, like after 2 or 3 weeks, whatever it was, just faded off. Maybe kept going. But yeah, sometimes. And I have a theory on that. I think sometimes, like any animal, if it gets old or sick or for some reason cannot hunt the way it normally would, then they go into more populated areas.
Well, yeah, they'll prey on humans. You know, there was a huge thing like that in western Washington State about 8 years ago. They had an alpha Bigfoot that had been deposed and thrown out of the tribe, and he was going around basically grabbing mountain bikers and eating them. You know,
Tell me about this. I never heard this story.
Oh, yeah, this is about 10, 11 years ago. If you listen to Sasquatch Chronicles, they actually did a pretty good job covering it. And I don't usually, listen to hearsay like that. But the guy I spoke to, his story was almost word for word. And he had called me 2 or 3 years ago. He called me 2 or 3 years after this all happened.
Right.
But I never did a podcast or anything on it because I didn't have enough information. I always when I do something, I want to have pictures and stuff. I want to go there. I want to know the area. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he was telling me how this thing was killing dogs. It was like it had gone like mentally insane. At some point, it was just coming out in the middle of the street at midnight, screaming and yelling, throwing stuff at houses. It was throwing it was smashing into cars, stuff like that. But it had grabbed all the dogs, eating all the cats, and at that point it was like going for people, like people were disappearing. And where it was so close to like where pot was being grown in the woods, people just thought it was because people were disappearing, but they didn't think anything of it because they just thought
they're thinking, these pot growers are disappearing. Some of the people
migratory. So and there's stories like that all the time, all over the place.
Wow. And this was
even up here, we had a dogman issue, and the dogman was basically bothering this kid. This was on the border of Tennessee, not too far from where I am, and this dogman was tapping on the kid's window all the time. And it was just tapping, tapping, tapping. And then one night he saw the kid woke up and he saw it, and he told his mom there was a big dog trying to get him to go outside, and she's like, "Well, don't go outside." And then one night, mom's walking past the son's room. She hears the tap on the window, and she looks in real quick, and then she sees it. And she had a meltdown. And after that, the dog started like viciously attacking the house. There were some issues that went on. But, there's stuff like that happens all the time.
Yeah.
And people just, they don't know who to talk to. And that's why I always say, feel free. You can get in touch with me at cryptidguy.com or 1-800-329-4851. That's my number. That's an 800 number. Feel free to call that anytime with any story you got. I hope you don't mind me pitching myself, Marlene.
Of course not. On the contrary, I'm going to put a link to the website anyway on the.
But cryptidguy.com is the best way. That's the stuff we post. And as I was talking to you earlier, I want to give a shout out to one of my older best friends. I've known this guy forever. He's actually done paranormal investigations with me, and his name's Patrick Arthur. And he wrote a book. It's called Sarasota Blood. And we were talking about historic narratives and things like that. What he's done is he's taken all these historic narratives about Sarasota, Florida, in the 90s, and he's incorporated all the vampire culture and folklore that was going on. Now I was there when that was going on. I'm going to tell you right now, we had the goth movement hit Sarasota hard. But Patrick he's one of these guys. I've known, he's been one of my best friends for years. he's one of these guys. If he's not saying a whole lot, he's just paying attention a whole lot. You know what I mean? So one of these guys doesn't say a whole lot because he's the smartest guy in the room, and then after he lightens up a little bit, he's hilarious. He has probably saved my life 3 or 4 times because of my big mouth. I'm thinking about sometimes in Vegas, but he has turned out to be an excellent author. And like I said, his book's called Sarasota Blood. And when he publishes it, of course, I'm going to do the best I can. But one of the reasons why I wanted to discuss this with you is because, you're basically the godmother of Florida, Marlene. Oh, I gotta make sure. I gotta get permiso from the godmother.
But you know what? What's really funny? I wanted to stop you. Just funny because when you talk about the goth and the vampire, you always think New Orleans or something like that. You never think of Sarasota. Never.
Sarasota was. I remember that. We used to go to Ybor and Sarasota on Friday and Saturday nights, and it would be like just crazy stuff. But it was that whole goth thing, and
I remember.
But Pat,
you always think of all that stuff, that dark, and because there's people out there that's not just the goth thing; it's the vampire lifestyle.
But when you read this, like I said, I was just reading. I've been reading this book. It's like I keep reading it because it's like all these places we used to go. It's kind of like a history of us as friends. But he's done such a good job. It's like this thing's either going to be a TV show, a movie, or comic book. I mean, I'm telling you, this is going to be great. And I really, when he publishes, I want you to interview him because you'll love him.
Sure, absolutely.
But I was telling him about that today. But this is, it's just every once in a while you read something that it hits all the points, like it's a great story, and you don't want to stop reading it. And I hope you don't mind me plugging that, but it's going to be awesome.
On the contrary,
because I really want you as part of that. Because I was talking to him earlier today, and I'm like, and he's Pat's brilliant. He's got a brother, Shane. They're 2 of the smartest guys you'll ever meet. They're brilliant. And they're 2 of the kindest people you ever meet. They're just awesome people. They're just, and these guys have been my best friends for almost 30 years. And, I love them to death. But they're brilliant. And the way he's done this is just like, he's just got this ability to write. And it's like almost this artistry. Like it just paints a picture for you. But it also makes you laugh at the same time when you're doing it. It's just hard to explain. And very few writers that I've run into in this age, I have people asking me to read stuff all the time because they want me to help promote it or something like that. And I usually say no. This was the first. I started reading chapter 1 on this. I couldn't put it down. I kept. And the thing that ticked me off, it was he sent it to me on a digital file, so I have to read it on my computer. And I'm old school. I like a book.
I mean, no, I do.
And I can't put this thing down. But he's done such a good job. With the research and the narrative, it's going to be. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be an awesome book. But it's called Sarasota Blood.
I would probably want to ask him because since he sounds like he got really immersed in his research.
Yeah.
Okay. If he came across any of these cases or stories.
Well, here's where it gets interesting. Some of the stuff he talks about in his book are cases that I did 15, 20 years ago.
Okay, well then I'm going to ask you.
Yeah, and he'll tell you like
any of these things had. I'm not going to use the word satanic, but I'm going to use dark ritual over.
I will say this: there was a. I don't talk about this much because one time I brought this up on when I was doing fringe investigations. But I used to be a bouncer in a bar in Sarasota.
Okay. And
it was the hot club. It was the place to be.
Right.
And we had a young lady go in there, and when I say she wrecked the place, Marlene, she couldn't have been more than 5 foot, 90 pounds, beautiful, beautiful girl, jet black hair, ice blue, beautiful, just beautiful, stunning. Could have been a model, just stunning. She picked up my 325-pound boxer bouncer and threw him across the room and destroyed $10,000 worth of window. She threw another bouncer across the bar, and then she bit a guy in the face. We actually had to take him to Sarasota Memorial because it wouldn't stop bleeding, and he had 2 perfect puncture marks right here. And when the doctor saw it, he asked him what kind of animal bit him because it wouldn't stop bleeding. There was like a thing in there.
That wasn't. Yes, yeah. It was like with a canine, it's like the sharp teeth. Yeah. Well,
whatever it was, and he was an easy 280. I mean, these guys were massive. And I looked at her right in the eyes, and I'm telling you right now, her eyes were red when I stared at her. I said,
What
hey,
happened?
whoa.
What brought that on? Why did she do that?
We have no idea. To this day, I still have no
Oh,
idea.
you still don't. It wasn't like, oh, it started as a dispute and
No. To this day, we have no idea. And then we went back to look for her on the cameras.
right.
Couldn't find her. All you could see was people. We
Oh,
saw her throwing people. We saw the people get moved, but you couldn't see her. So I think what he's done is he's taken probably a little. I could be wrong
right.
because he did know. I mean, he was right there because I called him after that because I was freaking. We stayed there. I'll tell you this right now. We stayed there till 6 a.m. because
Okay.
we were terrified to leave. That freaked us all out.
Right, and that happens. And you know
And
what?
I know people. I'm still in communication with people when that happens. I mean, I've one guy that I still talk to. He's still a dear friend of mine, and he kind of. I think he's going to revisit that. I haven't gotten all the way in the book to it. I haven't.
Did you guys ever know her name?
No, but I'll tell you what. She pointed at me and said, "I'll see you again soon." And when I say I had a Charmin moment, uh, I had a Charmin moment. Because I'm not going to lie. Marlene, I'm not going to lie, I was freaking terrified. I'm watching this. She picked up this guy that used to be a pro wrestler
Okay.
and when I say threw him, and he goes flying. She takes another guy, throws him into all these windows,
I guess
smashes all the windows.
we're drawing straws on who's going to be a bouncer the next
Well,
time.
no, the whole dance floor is packed.
Okay.
And I think the whole thing started because she had a drink on the floor. And back then, you couldn't have glass on the floor.
Okay.
So one of the guys very politely said to her, you can't have a drink on the floor. And she told him to F off or something like that. Okay. She had she had a very strong accent. It almost sounded Czechoslovakian. But she had this very strong accent. So after all this happens, we actually had to shut the place down. The cops come, and they send this one specific detective in here. And apparently he's the guy that handles all the weird stuff in Sarasota.
Okay.
And this is the third report on this broad, this young woman, excuse me. This is the third report on this lady in 2 days.
Oh, because she had been to other places?
She had been to other places doing the same thing. And the guy comes up to me. I'll never forget. I don't remember I don't even think he gave me his real name. He just called me, because I asked him his name. He just called me Lieutenant. And he said to me point blank, he goes, "Did you witness this?" I said, "I'm not going to lie to you, man." I said, I can't explain what I just saw. I told him point blank, I said, "I do paranormal investigations. I do cryptid investigations. I've never seen anything like this." And he goes, all right. He goes, do we have video cameras? And I'm like, yeah, they're in the office. And they went back. I was in the room. I was in the office when the manager went back to play everything back, and she wasn't on video.
Wow.
You could tell where she was moving because people were flying. You could see where she walked in because she pulled this other girl stepped in front of her. She pushed her out of the way, and she went like 6 feet, skidded into the floor on the floor. And it was, but
you guys never ran across her again?
Marlene, we didn't leave till 6 a.m. And when we left, I remember, I'll never forget, I had my little Ford Bronco 2. Remember the old Bronco 2s?
Yes.
I love that car. I wish I still had that thing. I always backed in. When we were leaving, they were putting sod in. And you know how they put the stakes in with the orange?
Yes.
I pulled one of those things up.
It's like, man, this is coming with me.
I was walking I left that thing in my car every night for like 3 months.
That's what I was saying afterwards. You guys must have tried to grow eyes in the back of your head just in case she showed up again.
We lost, first of all, half the people quit.
Okay.
And then
oh my God, they're like, forget it.
I worked out a deal with the manager of the place. I'm like, I'm not doing this sober. There's no freaking way. I'm not doing I said, you're gonna have to make some reparations here.
You know what? The thing is that, when you were talking about the golf and the vampire, I said, you know what? Some of the golf stuff was just kids wearing eyeliner and whatever. Yeah, and dress in black. I get it.
Yeah, but remember that satanic worship.
But there was part of them that there was a darker.
Well, remember that girl in Sarasota? Her dad she got arrested by the FBI because she decapitated her own father.
Yes.
For satanic worship.
A lot of them.
That was right around that time.
There was a lot of them.
Yeah, that stuff was crazy.
What they end up doing is like horrible. The same thing up in was it Virginia or West Virginia? Same thing. This guy, he ended up decapitating his mother. And
I think that was Virginia. I think I know what you're talking about.
Virginia. When they got there, he was standing in the front yard with her head. Didn't touch his little sisters. He did have a history of mental problems on and off, but
See, I'm convinced people like that are possessed, Marlene. I'm
Yeah,
convinced.
but the doctor, you know how they right away they give him a psyche valve,
Oh yeah,
all this other stuff. You know, he was saying he would be barking like a dog, and then they spoke, I guess, to the final. I guess the doctor, yeah, he had been treating her, or and he goes, look, you know, like saying, yeah, he's got this type of problems. He goes, but I would, what was it that he said? I would hate to be around him if he wasn't in here. Like saying, don't ever let this guy out. In other
yeah, you
words, they
can't.
didn't put him in prison for the murder because of
Yeah.
insanity, but the doctor basically said, don't ever, I would never be, I want to be around him if he wasn't inside the confines of a hospital. Like,
No,
this
I
is
mean
not like,
you can't be around people like
you know,
that.
like in other words, if you're waiting for somebody to say this guy's cured, no, you know. So yeah, that
Yeah.
there's something. But besides the possession angle, I'm gonna slide towards a true crime kind of aspect. A lot of these people that sometimes get involved, they might have a flavor of mental illness or behavior disorders, but a lot of it sometimes they get caught up in cults or groups that are very underground.
Yep.
All right, and they do really horrific things. And you
I
just
am.
think, oh,
Let me tell you something. I don't think people realize that is still something we have to deal with in our day to day life.
yes, yes,
I do the haunted tours, and I work a lot. Listen, I've got friends of mine that are Wiccan. I got friends of mine
oh,
that are devout Earth type people. I mean, I don't know how to explain
right,
it. But here's the thing: I don't
right,
judge anyone, and everyone knows me. I don't judge them. It's not my place to judge.
right,
All right, that's you know what? That's Jesus. He's going to judge. Don't. He doesn't need my opinion. I have my faith. I'm very secure. That's the only reason why I can do what I do. Is I'm so strong in my faith.
right.
I mean,
Because like,
and that's the reason everyone that works with me, everyone that works in my organization, you know what? They got to have faith. If you don't have faith, I'm sorry, it's not going to work because you're going to see stuff you're not going to be able to explain, and I don't want you getting pulled into something.
exactly,
And people don't get that. That's the number one thing. You have to have faith. And if you don't have faith in in God or Jesus Christ or whatever your belief is, one, I feel sorry for you, and two, you're an open target. But I honestly believe some of these people, they just get so weak that the door's open and something takes them over. And I think that happens a lot more than people think.
well,
I'm in an industry. I do paranormal stuff all around the continental United States. Cryptid stuff all around the continental United States. And I run into people all the time, and the first thing they want to do is one, they want to discredit me because they don't like the way I tell. They don't like the fact that I
right.
just, well, here's what we found. And the other thing is that they either want to do me physical harm or want to see me dead.
Well, they
No.
have
And
now.
that's because I'll point blank say, well, no, this is demonic, this is that, and they don't want anyone to know it.
Well, they have now, because remember everything here now, technology online. They have these what they call these groups. As a matter of fact, this came out like maybe a week ago. No, in July. This was in Pasco County.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they arrest this. He's 13 years old. Okay, 13 years old, and
13
he gets charged with possessing child pornography and bestiality material.
at 13.
Yes.
That's not. Tell me that's not. That's demonic, man. That's just.
Okay. So he was, and this is, and he joined what they call an unlike cult. Some of them they're called Nine Angels, is what they're called. All right, or 764. Now, he got into this when he was 12. 12. Okay, and they're still charging him with 4 felonies. All right. Now, this is a group. I don't know. You know about Discord? You know that basically it's like a forum type of format. Okay, this is
I've heard of it, but I'm not really. I use my computer for communication and
right, and
research.
so
I
they
really
do.
don't.
This is that satanic and the ideology and all this. And let me tell you, these kids. That's what I'm saying. There's some of this, even though this was back in the '90s and the goth. Sometimes everybody thinks, some kid going through a phase where they're wearing all black. Some of them, yes, and some of them is much darker. I mean,
Well, I tell you what. I wanted to ask you a question if you've ever heard a specific thing, but I don't want to say it online because it was something I actually witnessed when I was younger. So
okay,
when off air, I'll bring that up. But I'm willing to bet
okay,
you when I talk about it, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, because that happened. What I'm talking about happened in Bradenton, Florida, in probably '87.
okay,
But it was satanic in nature,
okay.
and that didn't go.
Oh,
That just went back underground is where it went because that's still going on there.
you don't
It's
want to? You don't want to talk about it, or it's
not
okay.
on
I don't
not
mind.
on air because I don't know. I mean, it's still very active.
Oh, so you still think, it's active. This was even.
Oh yeah, I don't think that went anywhere. Because you talk about like an X-Files episode, the way that all went down. Creepy.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
creepy.
Okay, for sure. No, people don't realize that a lot of these things they've learned to go underground, or they disguise themselves different ways. But
or they'll call themselves something else. They'll call themselves something else. That's what they'll do.
But they have a lot of these. They basically that they go into sometimes to the online games or all these different the Roblox. As a matter of fact, there's a big scandal going on now with Roblox.
Really?
Oh yeah, and allowing basically distribution. Because let me tell you something. That is the hallmark of all these satanic Luciferian cults: child pornography, bestiality. They ask usually kids, unfortunately, hurt themselves, or pornography of some type, and a lot of them end up killing people, physically. I mean, besides the child, and then they scale towards the trafficking. All right, it's almost like you get a mixture of the dark spiritual stuff along with real crime, because everybody thinks, you got one or the other. It's like, no.
Well, I know for a fact we had a problem in parts of North Carolina, and we still do, with human trafficking. And what was happening is these girls, about 12 to 14, be walking down the street in small bumpkin towns.
Right.
And these guys in vans will pull up, ask them a question, and they think nothing of it because, they're bumpkin, they're just small podunk holler, and they get grabbed and they're gone, and they wake up either in the deserts of Australia or the Saudi block, and they're on heroin, and they don't know what's going on, and then they're being sold into sex slaves. So, and that's happening. But how many, a million kids disappear a year?
Well, this is the
in this
thing,
country?
for example, and this, by the way, I've read this on released FBI files. All right, stuff that they've actually released.
Yeah, I love that FBI vault. I read that all the time.
No, and some of the stuff where they've done, let's say they've raided, like in Texas, for example, where Santa Muerta is real big, where they've done busts, like on the houses, almost all of them, they have found some type of satanic altars.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, these people, they might be badasses, or they might be killers, but they've got this very dark, there's a dark spiritual cast to the crimes, is what I'm saying.
Well, you have to be dark to do that to a kid. I mean, no human being.
But whether it's like whether it's drug trafficking, because it's all meshed up. It's all like.
I mean, I get that, but Marlene, no normal human being is gonna wake up one morning and say, "Hey, I'm gonna take this kid and I'm gonna sell him." That takes something else. That's a whole other level of evil. I mean, remember, the worst thing you can do to spite God is hurt innocence.
Of course.
And that's what these people do. And to me, I mean, you don't even want to know how I'm not.
You know what? I guess my point is, some people think that if you're doing all this, you don't believe in anything. You don't care. Like, you might as well have been like an atheist. You don't care, and they do. That's not accurate.
No, because they're satanic.
And part of, because everybody thinks, okay, there's the part about the money. This is all about money. Up to a certain point. I
think you're up to a certain point. It is, but then
there's an element.
What can I do
sacrifice,
to? Yeah, right.
And like you said, in corruption of innocence, that drives a spiritual thing underneath everything else. How's that?
Well, it's like you read about every once in a while. You read about these people whose kids got molested, and they, they take revenge on the guy that did it. I'm all about living. Look, you got to follow the rule of the land. You got the Constitution, but you got to make exceptions. Someone does something like that, I listen. I would personally, I'd beat him to death with a Bible. That's me.
Well, let me. See now. What's that case, Christian? This is.
Are you talking about in Louisiana where the karate instructor molested the kid? The guy shot him off the airplane.
I didn't know he was a karate instructor. Yeah, that guy that he waited. He fiddled around by the bank phones,
and then he walked out like that. No one would, like the judge was like, no one's going to convict you. I'm not even going to try this again. You're done.
Yeah.
Send him home. I'm sorry. That's the guy got what he deserved. He doesn't deserve to live, and that's my humble opinion. You touch a kid, I'm sorry.
And they didn't expect it, and he was just hanging out. I guess one of one of these guys that plans it. Like, hey, I'm not going to be able to get you in a courtroom, but I'm going to get you while you're.
I've always said this, and people ask me, like, when I do paranormal stuff, what's the strongest thing in the world? And I always tell them point blank. This might tick some people off, but you've got your love of God, and then honestly, the maternal love, and then parental, fatherly love. But parental, I don't care. Look, I don't have kids, but I have, relatives, and I will tell you this right now: there's nothing stronger than the bond between a mother and a child.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Especially when you've got a good mother. Like, I still talk to my mom 3 times a week, 4 times a week. All right, and I'll tell you what, I'm scared not to, because I'm afraid she'll just drive up here and beat the hell out of me. All right, so that's.
I know.
But like, Christine talks to her mom 4 or 5 times a week.
Of course.
But there's nothing stronger than maternal love.
There is. It doesn't.
All right, and,
once
you
you're
can
an
say
adult,
a daughter, hey, a father loves his kids as much as that's not true. A father,
but that's a very necessary.
Is maternal love, and it's like, here's the way I look at this, and this is, you'll understand what I'm saying. All right, there was nothing stronger between the bond between Mary and Jesus.
Right.
That was her baby boy. It didn't matter. That's her baby. That's it. That's why we venerate her, because she was the mother of the son of, she's the mother of the Christ.
Even if that's what I'm saying. Even as your baby grows up and as an adult, they never stop being your child.
My mom tells me point blank, when I look at you, I still see you as 4 years old, running around taking Oreos and thumping your sister in the head. I mean, that's all right. So I'm never gonna be the 6 foot, 200-pound guy. It doesn't matter. Exactly. So the little Audrey Lee, I'm this little blonde squirt towhead running around, climbing out of fences, doing stuff I'm not supposed to do.
Sees their kid, and
that's exactly what it is. But now, as I said, I'm not a parent, but I imagine, because my mom is so good to me and how much I love my mother, it doesn't make sense for me for people not to love their mother like that. Now, I know there's exceptions, because there's been horrible people out there, but there's nothing stronger than maternal love. Like, I mean, look in the net. I love watching these videos. I don't mean to take over and get weird, but
no,
I love watching these little videos. Is like, there'll be like a baby gorilla getting a drink of water, and then this crocodile tries to come attack him, and next thing you know, like, mom comes out of nowhere and she like picks this thing up and she's turning this thing into dust. I mean, she's smashing it. But maternal love is all it encompasses the entire animal planet. I mean, it's like, look at another example is like. I love these killer whale videos where, like, a shark, I can't stand sharks because I have my issues with them. But, like, this shark will try eating a baby killer whale, and next thing you know, there's 12 or 13 of them. Done. Yeah, and they're done. Or, like, elephants. Elephants are awesome. Yeah. You ever seen a baby elephant in trouble?
Yes.
I would not want to be the poor guy receiving the beating of the baby elephant being in trouble.
What they do is that if they
circle and then they attack.
Circle and they put the youngest in the middle.
Yep. And then now there's this one thing I saw where this lion killed this lion, and this whole pack of lions killed a baby elephant, and the father,
the bull elephant,
but the father of the baby, like, you know how, like, they say emotion, you can't really see emotion in an animal's face.
Yes,
you saw the limitation in this guy's face, like he was crying. He killed the entire lion pride.
Was this I imagine this had to be an African elephant?
It's African. He chased down the entire lion pride and killed him.
Yeah.
Would not stop.
Yes.
And let me tell you something, these things did not die easy. He had one of them stuck on a tusk. He impaled one of them.
Yeah.
And he left it there. Like, that was there on purpose.
Yes.
He wanted people to see that, because the one that he did that to was the one that killed his son.
Now, let me tell you something. Yes. They say animals have feelings. Believe me.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm a firm, I'm a dog guy, and I have my Boston Terrier, Nandor. And I love him, but I'm the first one to rag on him. He's a year and a half old, and he's just spoiled rotten. Christina's ruined this guy. He's never not slept in our bed. Like, how you say never let dog in bed. All right. But I can't imagine if, like, anyone even looked at him. Like, I'm just going to tell you straight up. When I take him to the vet, they have a warning.
It's like, hold the dad back. Hold him back.
It says, Daddy's very sensitive.
Yes. Let me tell you something. Believe it or not.
So they literally take, like, I'm not allowed to drop I'm just not allowed. Christina has to do it. Because, like, I'm an overprotective, that's what it says, overprotective daddy. But it says it on the, but they have a stamp. They have a stamp, Marlene. It says,
oh, no, because you know what? Oh, yes, of course.
But, I mean, that's my baby boy. I mean, it's my little fur ball.
Yes. And let me tell you something.
I know that sounds so pathetic. 52-year-old guy going off on his Boston Terrier.
I have an entourage. Wherever I go, I got an entourage that follows me all over the place. I mean, I remember when my kids were small, that you can't even go take a shower. Everybody's like, well, no, now I don't have kids, but I have dogs. And they're all like little
Well,
dogs.
Christine
Like,
can't go. See, the reason why we got the dog is like where we live, we couldn't have a dog over 35 pounds.
right, so you have to keep it small.
So Nandor is like 38 pounds. He's a huge, everyone thinks he's a boxer.
Did you call him Nandor after that?
Yes, Nandor the Relentless.
Investigator?
Yes.
I knew it.
Nandor the Relentless, he's just a real big dog. Yeah, he's a big Boston. But, we've got his paperwork and we have the DNA done. He's 100% Boston. He's just a big boy.
Right.
But he's a little, like, he's such a baby because he just, like, it just makes me laugh. He's like a year and a half old, but he might as well be 6 weeks old. Because Christine still carries around like he's a puppy. And it's like he'll do something and run to her.
Of course,
So he's very manipulative. But it's like, what am I going to? What do you think? This dog's never even been yelled at. Like,
don't give him a hard look.
No, we didn't know. We've never even yelled. He's never been spanked in this one. He pissed me off the other day, Marlene. I said, "What are you doing?" And he looked at me like, "Oh no, don't hit me again, Daddy! Don't hit me again, Daddy!" I'm like, "Are you serious? You're gonna pull that with me? You've never even been spanked. Never. He poop on the floor. Oh, look at how cute that poopy is.
Yeah, exactly. No, believe me, my dogs. It's like now they're all around me on little pillows because I just finally got little pillows for everybody, especially my older ones. But yeah, they follow me around and everything, and you can tell that they take their cues from your facial expressions, from everything. Like,
yeah, because we'll play kung fu. Like, I just remember the TV show Kung Fu with David Carradine?
Of course.
I love that show. Like, we've got all the DVD. We'll still watch it. And like, I'll mess with, and like, he'll hear the whoa, and I'll look at him. I'll go whoa, and then I'll like throw a toy at him or something like that. And I've been doing that since he was like, we got him when he was 7 weeks old.
Okay.
So he was nothing but a belly and 4 legs. And when we got him, he couldn't. His feet didn't touch the ground.
Okay.
He had to and then sometimes he'd have to hop because he did. He looked like a little bunny.
Let me tell you something.
And then, but we used to mess with him all the time, and I'm like, whoa! So when I do that, like the old Kwai Chang Kang, he automatically goes into like attack mode, and so we'll be watching that, and he'll just hear it, and he'll just like,
well, let me tell you something. The other day, because I read a lot of articles. It was one that came. This is a recent article that they were talking about that they found out that animals, but let's say especially dogs, love the life they live. Like, in other words, that they enjoy, they love their life. If like what you're describing, if they're well taken care of, and shown affection and fed, obviously, and all this, that they love, they like their life. They're like in other words, I guess people don't think, well, a dog's quality of life, who cares?
Oh, I don't want to need that. I don't want to know that person.
Yeah, but there's.
But what's funny is we'll go. All right, if Nandor's been good, we'll go get him a cheeseburger.
There you go.
But he doesn't like. Hold on, he doesn't like McDonald's.
Oh, you're kidding! He has a preference.
He does. He has a preference. He prefers Burger King burgers, but he will not eat Burger King fries.
Oh my God!
So he's been good.
Let me tell you that I'd go broke.
How pathetic! How pathetic! Yes, this is the cryptid guy. This is the guy who goes out in the wilderness and chases Bigfoot down, but his Boston Terrier gets McDonald's fries and Burger King cheeseburgers.
It's like, yeah, and we need to go through 2 drive-thrus, okay?
No, it's not. Yeah, that's exactly what you have to do. You have to go to 2. And my fiance, basically my wife's like, this has become natural. This is nothing. And like, she'll call me and she goes, I'm gonna get Nandor something. Do you want to? It's not me.
So let me. In other words,
what is Nandor? And so depending what the dog's.
You're gonna benefit from the trip there for him, but that's
yeah. So if the dog's going to Burger King. Okay,
so let me ask you something. What happens if you ever try to give him regular dog food? Does he give you?
Oh, he used to know what she does. Oh, my Christine's very. What she does is she breaks it up with his food.
Right. Okay.
She'll spend 15 minutes cutting his. The damn dog eats before she does.
Okay.
But she puts it in his food, and he's on. He eats. He gets that blue buffalo. He's on special diet, and he's got some allergies, so he gets Benadryl too. So, but he gets Benadryl and Boar's Head salami. Here's why: he doesn't like Publix brand salami.
No, he doesn't like it. Give me the good stuff, all right?
He'll put it in his mouth and go. He won't eat it. He's a little son of a bitch. I mean, he really is.
Funny.
I love him to death, but he's a bastard.
What is this? Is this a generic brand? You know,
That's exactly what it is. He'll look at you like, oh, hell
what are you
no.
doing? What are
Like
you
he's
doing?
almost insulted.
Yeah,
That's the
that's so
thing. He's
funny.
insulted. And then he spends half the night waking up. He'll go under the blankets with Christine. He'll get too hot. He'll come back out. He'll make it like he wakes everyone up because now he's up. Everyone has to be up. And then he'll like start making his nest with the blankets. And then he'll sleep like that for 2 hours. Then he's going to get too cold. Then he goes back under the blankets. I mean, this is how my life is now, Marlene.
Now let me tell you something.
I sleep better out in the middle of the sticks with Bigfoot
I
looking
have
at me.
4 dogs on the bed, and the other 4 are underneath the bed.
Oh, you get it. You get it. You understand.
Of course, of course.
You totally get
it. And then
it.
this is the thing. It's like sometimes I wake up like, oh man, oh, and then it's because everybody's like, it's like, what is this? You know? So yeah.
It just doesn't end. He keeps doing. And it's funny because he makes me laugh. Because like if you don't pay enough attention to him, he'll start making noises.
Yes.
He'll be like,
yes. Yes.
Or like, okay, here's the thing. Yesterday, Christine, for breakfast we had some bacon. All right, I had bacon and coffee. I try to avoid carbs, so I just usually eat like bacon or sausage. So I'm sitting there, I'm eating my bacon. I'm looking at my phone, looking at emails, looking at news, looking, making sure I got everything lined up, and I'll hear. And at this point, I'm thinking to myself, what was that? And then I look down, and it's him, and it's like he's literally saying the same thing over again. It's like,
oh yeah,
and he's just staring at me. It's like, oh, you want some bacon? It's like,
oh, no,
if I don't give him bacon, he won't leave me alone. It's like he's bullying me.
We have those those water jugs for the water that you turn over the gravity.
Yeah.
And once in a while, I run out, so they bring me the empty water jug. They bring it to me like
that's balls. That's balls. They're like, fill this up.
They bring me my water jug, and I'm like, okay, all right, I get the idea. I get it because they understand like how to communicate. Like we need to let her know that we need water.
Yeah, and that's all it's about. What we want.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. This is all about me. This is my world. This is my world. You're just living in it.
So let me ask you, what are you working on right now? Are you going to do anything for Halloween? What are you doing now?
Marlon, we got so much weird stuff going on. We just.
And the reason why I ask is, even though we're in August, they're already putting out Halloween stuff in the stores, and I was like, which is kind of disappointing because I wish they would wait a little bit, but it's like, before you know it, it's here.
I mean, it's one of these things where we're working on that property I told you about with all the other stuff going on. We've got some paranormally. We've got this new place paranormally it's actually it's one of these places I'm not sure it's safe for other people to go in.
Really? Why?
Yeah, because when you know how when you walk into a paranormal place and you get hit by the waves of.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's like that wave of energy. You hit the wall kind of thing. And most people don't know how to deal with that. So we've got
occupied or is it empty?
It's gonna be something, but they wanted us to check it out first. And we don't charge.
Right.
We've never charged anyone. I'm a firm believer. We're all here to help each other out. That's God's plan. That's what God put me here to do is help people out. And that's what I want to do. And my whole organization, CryptidGuide.com, American Cryptid Paranormal. That's what we do. We just want to help people. Even Haunted Asheville. Joshua, he just, we've always all we want to do is help people. Between me, Brian, and Ted, we just want to help people. Yeah, we're also in the entertainment business when we talk about paranormal, and that's what that is. It's entertainment, but it's all historical, information we've accrued over the years. But when we can help people, we will. And there's just a lot of weird stuff going on. It's like someone juiced everything up.
Let me ask you: have you ever gone on an investigation, and I'm talking here residential, I'm not talking historical, or where you kind of like, if you haven't out and out told them, kind of hinted like, what you all need to do is move.
Yeah. I've actually given them the number of a couple of exorcists I know.
Okay.
And I tell them I can't help them.
Right.
Because I will not play with. I'm not trained in that. None of my guys are trained in that.
Yes.
None of my girls are trained in that. We're not playing with that. That's the line I draw in the sand. I'm not doing that.
I'm going to ask you real quick before. You heard this story about this the guy that was touring with the Annabelle doll and he died?
Yes.
What do you think about that? What do you think? Was it?
I don't know where to go with that. It's going to be natural causes, probably stroke or heart
I know.
attack.
Well, he wasn't. He was like 54 years old.
I mean, that's
Okay.
my age bracket.
And when I looked at, I know when I read from the article, I think they tried to do CPR on him at his room. Like, in other words, the doll wasn't in the room with him. Apparently, he was somewhere. He was touring with the doll, but with a
Annabelle's a real weird. Annabelle's a real weird entity because even the Warrens even warned after they were gone.
Yes, this
not
is what
to
they were
mention
saying.
Annabelle. Just leave her where she is.
Right.
And that's something I'm surprised. And someone decided to go out and make money on her.
Right. Yeah.
That's all it's about. And that honestly, that also falls in line with the 7 deadly sins, as Avarice agreed. So I think that falls in line with things you shouldn't be doing, specifically with an item like that. And I think what ended up happening was you either see it was a heart attack or it was a paranormal
right.
event.
I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
Well, they were saying, because people don't realize that when they made those Conjuring or Annabelle movies, which is they had to the manufacturers of Raggedy Ann told them, no, you cannot use the likeness. Oh, with the doll. The doll is a
Raggedy Ann. That's why Raggedy Ann. Most people don't realize Annabelle's Raggedy Ann.
But they in the movies they made them change.
Yeah, they did. But Annabelle's a Raggedy Ann.
Yeah. You're like that really creepy looking doll.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what the real.
That's not what. Yeah, Annabelle's a Raggedy Ann doll from I think
Raggedy
the 60s.
Yeah.
68.
I mean, there was a.
My cousin had that exact same one.
Yes. I mean, yeah. Everybody sees it and they know that's a Raggedy Ann doll.
Yeah.
It's not.
We had Raggedy Ann. You had Raggedy Andy. That one's a Raggedy Ann.
Right.
But
everybody thinks that you're going to look at the doll and it's going to look like.
But you only know that if you're my age, our age, our age bracket.
Yes.
You're only going to know that if you grew up in the 80s.
Now, and see, this is the part that I wasn't, because I haven't really followed up on it, and I was thinking, but wait a minute. I thought that was in their museum, which I think his daughter and his son-in-law were the ones that kept the museum.
It was literally locked in a cabinet that had been blessed.
In a cabinet.
In a cabinet that had been blessed, and it had holy water and crucifixes all around it.
Right.
And then, for some reason, I'm not sure if the daughter greenlit it, because the Warrens had a daughter. I can't remember what her name is.
Yes, they had one daughter, yes.
I think it's Jennifer, maybe.
Right, I know that.
Is that her name? I don't know. I think it might be Jennifer. But she had to have greenlit it because that all went to her. I mean, she was the only heir.
Right, and I know that, if I remembered, I think it was her and her husband, which were basically the ones that took over the museum. Mm-hmm. As far as I guess.
But isn't the museum closed now?
See, that's the part I don't understand.
I think the museum is closed. I think they sold the house, and I think they liquidated it. I think that's what happened. I don't know. That's what I heard. I don't know how true that. Listen, you and I both know how stuff floats around the paranormal world as rumors.
Okay, see, now check this out. I'm looking this up, and this is this is what was tickling the back of my brain. The thing, it was called the Devils on the Run tour, which I know is like, okay, and now they're saying, okay, I know it's like when you're touring with occult stuff, maybe, yeah, they're saying that the official cause of death is natural causes, that there is mention of emergency service responding to a CPR situation, but termination, which is natural causes, all right, with no evidence of foul play. And I think to myself, I never thought of it as being foul play, really. Okay.
But if you had a heart attack or a stroke, but that was brought on by a demonic force.
Okay, but what I'm saying, natural causes is like, okay, if he was an old guy, I would say, okay, he died of natural causes. But, for somebody to drop dead at 54, because that's what it sounded literally like what happened to this guy.
Because 54 is still young, let's be honest.
Yes, of course. So, okay, and I'm thinking, I never thought of it as being foul play, but come on, somebody just doesn't up it.
Yeah.
So, again, I don't know exactly what happened, how the doll came to go on tour. And I'm wondering if there's any other items from the museum, I guess is my question, touring with the doll, because it must be like, well, I wonder if they're even going to continue with that tour. But I'm thinking they might, because now it's gotten more attention than it really would have.
Here's the other thing. I hate saying this, but on a plane of moral thoughts and less paranormal, let's just say the guy was out of shape at 54, had a stroke, and he died naturally. Mm-hmm. Look at the advertising they're going to get.
Oh, of course.
Because Annabelle was involved.
Of course.
And is that wrong? Is it right?
Well, the truth is,
we don't know.
I'm involved in this work, and I mean, I had no idea that they were touring with the Annabelle doll.
I honestly didn't think they were dumb enough to do that.
I never heard of that tour.
That's like someone saying taking Robert the Doll out of Key West and putting him on showcase. That's stupid.
I mean, I've been around the Robert the Doll, but
Joshua was the one that X-rayed him and got the sigils, found the satanic sigils on him.
oh wait,
Yeah, Joshua P. Warren. Josh did all that. He was the one that came. That was all him.
when did this happen?
Oh, 15 years ago.
Wait a minute, here.
Robert the Doll. He found all the sigils. They were like written in almost infrared, but it was like, I think it turned out to be blood. I mean, and then they found bones in it after they MRI'd it. That there's a whole lot more, Robert.
Okay, wait a minute. Here, as a matter of fact, here, hold on. I had never heard of that. That's very. Hold on. Let me see if I can open this up. Hold on. Because see, that's another thing about the. If you look at the Robert the Doll,
Yeah, I've seen him. I've been face to face with that thing. Yeah.
Oh, here. Let me see if I can get.
So sailor suit.
Here's Marlene with Robert the Doll. This was in 2008. Okay.
Marlene, time has been so kind.
Okay, that was me next to Robert the Doll.
No, it's not. That's your daughter.
Yeah, all right. Okay. All right. I don't got any money. But anyway.
Don't worry about it.
This is, you know what, that museum that's down in Key West?
Yeah, no, I've got pictures. Yeah, we had.
Okay.
I've been there.
Honestly, I never, I know sometimes these objects will go dormant for a while. When I was around this thing, I didn't feel nothing. Now, I will tell you, in that museum, right next to it, as a matter of fact, you could see it almost in the background there, they had a display for the Sisters of the Sacred Heart. They opened a convent and a hospital.
I remember, yeah.
That stuff had stuff coming off of it. I never got anything off of Robert the Doll.
Robert didn't bother me a bit.
But now you told me this, and you got to tell me that again. What happened with
Honestly, Joshua P. Warren, you look at Google, Joshua P. Warren and Robert the Doll, he did a whole bunch of work on that. I'll give you his phone number. Maybe he'll do an interview with you.
Okay, and now this is the thing. You know that the story of Robert the Doll was...
Yeah, oh yeah.
The lady that made it, she was
his Annie, right? But she was all voodoo.
Right.
There's human bones. There's allegedly human bones in Robert the Doll.
What?
When they X-rayed him, yeah, they found bones. And they think she actually went to the graveyard. Again, this is all the stuff I was told. So, I'm not the expert on this one, but apparently she went to the graveyard and dug something up.
Oh yes,
and actually helped put it in because she was all into the voodoo and hoodoo. She was all into that. And I can totally see that. It's just the problem with Robert the Doll is it's got too much background information for it not to be real. And when Joshua went down there, he made a deal. He either X-rayed him or got him on. He either X-rayed or got it under a black light, but he actually found sigils, like seals and different things on it. And he pioneered that. He killed it. That was all on him.
That's very interesting because
it's fascinating because he did a great job
of this Islander magic, guaranteed. You're talking to hear graveyard stuff, whether it's bones, dirt.
That's what you're going to hear, but that's what's going to happen. It's all when you start playing with that stuff. See, that's a field I don't deal with.
That I can tell you right
now. Okay, I don't play. That's when I call my priest and I say, "Hey, Father so and so, this is going on. Maybe throw me a blessing, or do I need to come in? Or I'll do another confession, and I'll do a couple. But that's my everyday life. That's how it works. If I have something that works like that, then I go. You have to countermand evil. I'm not going to be afraid of it, but I'm not going to play with it either. You know what I'm saying? God says in the Bible how many times, "Do not be afraid." So I listen to the Lord, but I'm also going to take a little help.
But this is what people, I'm telling you, I'd never heard this thing about that there was human bones or sigils or blood or anything like that. But I will tell you that a lot of that magic with a K at the end, they do use that, and they bind.
They do use that. It's MAGICK, yeah.
And they bind human spirits or souls to inanimate objects, as in a doll. That's part of the.
But that's what happened with Raggedy Ann. or
See, that's the thing. I've read it, but I never. I kind of read the story of how they ended up with it, but I never. Basically,
it
the
was
girl
two
that gave it
nurses.
to them
Was it
really
two
didn't know the
nurses that had
background on
her?
it,
Two nurses that had her,
right?
and they'd come home, and there'd be like she'd be in a different place where they left her, or there'd be notes or stuff like this. We miss you,
Right.
blah blah blah. And it got to the point where they couldn't take it anymore, and then the husband, I can't think of his name right now. I've got all his books too. Oh, geez, what's his name? The demonologist, Mr. Warren. He came over and said, "No, this is diabolic. It's been enhanced with satanic principles and things of that nature." He goes, "You got to get rid of it." And they said, and they threw it away, and then it came back the next day. It was out of the dumpster. So I guess one of them watched it get put in the trash can, or watched it get put in the trunk, or the dumpster trunk, the back dumpster,
Right.
and it was back the next day. So
Huh.
she watched these things. It's in the dumpster. It gets dumped up in the truck. The truck empties out, and it goes away. The next day, that doll's back. So at that point, I think is when they called
And
the
that's when they
Warrens.
gave it over to the Warrens.
Yeah, and they were like, just get, and the Warrens ended up having to do like an exorcism on the house too, I think.
What's the name of? My God, I'm drawing such a blank. This guy that he had to show the haunted collector that he's up in the Northeast also.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I can't think it was. Oh, that's
Hello,
gonna.
it'll come. He's a matter of fact, he's related to the Warrens. He's.
Is he? Did he? Is he the one who married the
Uh,
daughter?
wait a minute. Why am I? It's like, and then I know that. The feature. Show. John Zaffis. There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm surprised though, and this is the thing, because he has his own occult museum, I believe. I don't think if he still has it, but he has it. And I think to myself, I wonder if he ever told him that's not a good idea.
Well,
You guys
here's
running
the
around
thing,
with this thing.
Marlene. I think you and I can both agree. When you do what we do for a living,
Yes.
all right, and this is where I've always drawn the line. When you try to profit off of the cryptid or the paranormal, you have to produce, you have to do something.
Right. Exactly.
Now, I know how long it takes to just do one podcast. Okay, and you've got what, 4 or 5 going?
Yeah.
So let's be honest, that's 60, 70 hours a week. Let's be honest.
Yes.
It is. All right. I know that, you know that. All right. But this isn't how you earn your living. You've got your books, you've got your retirement, you've got all the other stuff.
Yes.
Well, everyone thinks, people don't realize you were very, you had a real life.
Oh yes.
You were very, you helped a lot of people. I know what you did. I don't know if people are familiar with what you used to do, but I know what you used to do. And, God bless you, because you just help people. That's all there is to it. All right. But when you do this for a living, you have to produce.
Oh, no.
And if you don't produce, you got to come up with something that's a gimmick. And that's the problem I've always had. You can't do this for a living and be honest. And especially, I've been doing cryptid and paranormal research now. Marlene, this is my 27th year. Complete waste of life. Anyway, but I've known people that they fake stuff, they lie. Especially the cryptid world. The cryptid world is nefarious.
These reality shows.
Oh,
I tell everybody. I said, you know what? And I tell them, because when people would join these paranormal teams, they think that they're going to go out there and they're going to have a reality show. And it's like, that's not the way it works. These people need to produce something that'll have the people coming back to look at the show. So, of course, stuff happens. And I go, that's not the way it really is, by the way. And they
no, it's not, because, because of Haunted Asheville, I have a very good relationship with the Discovery Channel. And one of the things, every time I'm on TV, one of the things they tell me is, we've got you here because 1, we trust you, 2, you're honest, and 3, we know you're going to make anything up.
Right, exactly.
All right, that's why. But that all comes from, when I was learning how to do all this, and Josh was saying, there's rule number 1. I don't want to use foul language, but rule number 1 is know your stuff.
Yes.
If you don't know your stuff, if you haven't researched, if you don't know what the heck you're talking about, people see through it like that.
Yeah, of course. But sometimes they go to these locations, and I tell everybody, supernatural is not an on-demand thing.
No.
And you could go to a place and something, not that there's nothing there, maybe it's just not going to do nothing for you. But what I'm saying is that when they produce, like you said, these shows or something better happen, because people are going to stand around and go, hey,
Yeah, but that's when you have
So
all this. Well, this is where you have these ridiculous. Like, okay, take what's that number one paranormal show? I'm not even going to mention names because I don't want to give them the credit. With a certain person, all right, who's got a museum in Vegas. Nothing on that's
yes,
real. Nothing on that is real. It's all
yes,
ridiculous.
yes.
Okay, I've been doing this 27 years. I could probably compile enough to have 3 or 4 shows or a documentary. That's it.
Yep.
And that's with all the stuff I have. And I
Yes.
have more. I have hard drives. I've got
Yes.
flash drives full of stuff. I've got pictures. I've got all this, hundreds of thousands of
Mm-hmm.
pictures, thousands of
Yes.
videos. All right, but maybe out of one in 100 of them are worth watching.
Right.
And
Like you could say
you
exactly.
can't do, you cannot just. It's like what was the oh god. Remember the original Ghost show? It was on after the X-Files. It was the 2 plumbers from I think
Ghost
Rhode Island.
hunters. The ghost
Ghost.
hunters.
Those guys were
Rotor
awesome.
by day,
Yeah,
ghost hunters by night.
but they were awesome because they showed everything that happened. And the reason
Yes.
why they quit their show is because they wanted to start faking stuff, and they're like, "No, we're not doing it.
Right.
If it doesn't happen."
Yes.
I think Grant was it Grant the guy's name?
Grant was one of them, and Jason Hawes was the other guy.
Jason
Oh
or
God.
Grant saw what they were doing in post production because they were going to move something to make it look like it had been,
Right.
done. And they're like, "What are you doing? We're not doing this. This isn't what we do. This is,
Yes.
our, And that was how the show ended. So
Yes.
I have nothing but respect, but that's honesty. You can't have a
Right.
ghost show on for X amount of years with something new every show. It
It
doesn't
doesn't
work.
work, and it's not real. It's not. It's
Okay,
not.
because when you get
It's not
that,
everybody.
right.
It's just. And you telling somebody, I'm not saying that there's nothing there. I lost him. Oh, come back. I lost my guest. I hope he comes back. I wonder what happened. That was sudden. Sometimes you'll have stuff that goes sideways, and they start like the internet starts blinking in and out, and then. But this was like, oh, I wonder what were we talking about? I wonder what it was going to be that it decided to like take him out of the picture, literally. If he doesn't come back, maybe he had a power outage where he's at. I'm telling you. I know it's like, okay, don't go there, Marlene, but sometimes when you start talking about certain things and out of the blue, things go sideways, it's like, wait a minute. That's paranormal sabotage. There we go.
I'm sorry about that. For
What
some,
were we? Okay, was it you or was it something we were talking about?
I have no idea. I was about to make a point, and next thing I know, I'm gone.
I know. I was like, what happened? I'm thinking, what were we talking about?
Uh,
Oh, that,
oh yeah, the ghost hunters.
yeah, that sometimes I'll tell you what, when we talk about, I don't know if you ever heard about this gentleman, Bob Kramer, that he runs, or he had that house in Pittsburgh that he wrote that book, The Demon of Brownsville Road.
I do. I do know the book. I've never met him. I haven't read the book, but
Well,
I've
I
seen it.
interviewed him not too long ago, and he's turned the thing into a bed and breakfast.
Well,
We were talking about it, and he says he prohibits anybody from going in there to do any type of either dowsing, parapsychic work, much less a paranormal search, nothing, zip, zero. Because he says that he went through so many years clearing that house that he would never allow anybody to go back in there. My point being that if he wanted to, if he opened that place up for paranormal investigations, he would make a mint. But
well, the
he
people that
knows the
own
danger of it. He knows
the
the
people that
danger.
own Asheville Horrors. That's another tour company in Asheville. Apparently, they bought the Lizzie Borden house,
Okay.
and that's what they're doing. I guess it's a B&B. I guess it was $1.5 million for the Lizzie Borden house.
That's how
To
much.
me, paranormally, if you're going to have a destination, that's brilliant.
Yes. Yes. But
Um,
I was talking because he went, I want to say he's been at that property like 30 years or more, and he really went through some pretty difficult, horrid things there. And he says no. He goes, yeah, it's just a nice B&B, and on all this. But he says absolutely he does not allow anybody to do anything having to do with the paranormal. He goes because he had the Catholic Church involved there, as far as basically doing exorcism, doing masses. He really went through like what an ordeal to try to clear that place of what was going on there. So my point being that when
yeah.
you were saying about making money, sometimes that what you see might not be the legit stuff. Either like I said, sometimes things are there, but not that you're gonna make it do like stunts like a trick dog every time you want something to happen.
It doesn't happen that way, and you and I both know it.
No, it doesn't.
You know, if you're very lucky, you'll catch 1% of something that happens, and that's what you
Yes.
see on film. But people, like I said, people with these shows that are on year after year after year, they're not real. That's like people
Yes.
that's not real. I don't
Yes.
care when it says written by in the credits.
Right.
All right, that means the show was written by. So when that to me, when I see written by, to me that encompasses the fact that someone fictionally wrote this thing. This is
Yes.
what happened. Here's what here's
Now
what the
I will
writers
tell
came.
you, and I know that because I did 2 shows, and I still get contacted on and off by different producers, especially out of Canada. Like, oh, we're gonna put a show with this theme.
That's where they all are. They start in England, they go to Canada, and they come get
You
you
know,
here. Yeah.
and like, do you know of anybody, Marlene? Like that. Like in other words, there was one of the last ones I want to say was something like with a roommate at the paranormal. One of those deals. Like if you had a story of, and I said I
Yeah.
don't know anything, but I'll if I find out, I'll send them your way. See, that I can understand because this is basically people retelling their story about maybe something that happened to them once upon a time. That's more credible. Whatever. My problem is when, like you said, when you have these same teams going over and over to to these all these different locations, and every time something always happens, and it's like, come on,
It
is that the way
doesn't.
it
Yeah,
works?
I've had stuff. I've had stuff on America's Most Haunted Bars, America's Most Haunted this. All right, I've had stuff in
Yes.
Asheville from that, and again, that all comes from being part of Haunted Asheville. Josh had 99% of the stuff to do that. I just go investigate afterwards because he was in the right town. But we get contacted by people. Do you have any more? Have any more? I think I've gotten 3 or 4 people on TV,
Yes. Yes.
and I've never gotten. Here's the other thing: I've never gotten a cent for it.
Of course not. Nope. Nope.
All right, you know how that works. Everyone
Yes.
thinks, oh, you're making all this. You get. I've been paid $150
Let me
for
tell you
all the
something.
TV appearances I've had, and I've got
Been
6 or 7 of them. You know,
how's this? I've been flown to Michigan. I've been flown to Canada on their dime, and they put me up. But as far as money, not really. No, none.
I've never
Zero.
been flown anywhere. I've had to drive places, and I was promised dinner. I got there, there was no dinner.
There was no dinner.
There was
No,
no
let me
dinner.
tell you something. It was so funny
But
because when we
I
did,
had fun. One
no, no,
time they
yeah,
used my equipment.
and I think what the point that we're arriving at, Christian, is that if people think you go into this like you're gonna make so much money, it's like, not really. You better be
Marlene,
prepared.
listen, how many books have you published? 6, 7, 10?
About 9.
All right. So I was okay. All right. If there was a whole lot of money in writing books, all right, would you be doing this?
Of course not.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it depends. It would be half and half.
I'll tell you about. I've actually been approached by a publishing company, and they want me to write a book, and I've got about 10 chapters done,
Okay.
and I'm kind of at this point where I've got I've hit the wall. But the bottom
Is it
line
fiction, nonfiction? What is it?
no, it, it's it's things that we've actually done, real cases.
Okay.
But
Okay.
they want
Right.
like, okay, take us from 0 step. What happens first? All right. Well, I
Okay.
usually get a phone call from the 800 number. I'll get an email,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll talk to them. And if I think they're not insane, I'll meet with them. But I'll meet with them at a Starbucks or a Mickey D's because I never want to go to these people's houses,
Yes.
because people are crazy as hell.
Something.
Marlene, I've had people. I had this one guy. I used to call him Crazy John. All right. He used to call me. Okay. And again, my 800 number, 1-800-329-4851. I've had this number for years. He used to call me on Friday nights at probably 2 in the morning. And he'd be schnockered. And he'd be like, hey, I'm going to introduce you to Bigfoot, but I need you to drive up here with a case of Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
All right.
Like, okay.
And it wasn't, here's the directions, here's the grid coordinates. And you pump them in the computer and look where it is, and it's in the middle of friggin' nowhere.
Okay.
Like it's at when you see the stump in the road, take a left.
Okay.
It's one of these kind of places.
I tell everybody, and I'm going to show something, and most people have seen this because this is one of the. If I can find it, Marlene. Let me see. Where is that? Sometimes these things. Sometimes I'm trying to do too much. Okay. Ah. Is that? Okay. Anyway, I wrote a book called supernatural safety, paranormal DIY guide. And
Right.
part of that I talk about is that I have to laugh because that thing about the shows, these people have production teams that basically look up the cases and make sure everything is safe. I tell everybody, you know, part of the thing of being a paranormal is that you got to be careful of where you're going. Like for safety, like for not, I'm not talking about spiritual safety. I'm talking about your personal safety or that of your team.
Well, see, that's the thing.
Sometimes
People
you
don't
end up
realize
in
how dangerous
places
it
or
is.
with people that you're like, what am I doing here? Get me out now.
Some of the only
Okay.
times I've been, like I said, 27 years, I can think of 5 or 6 times I was not coming out of the woods, and none of them, well, 2 of them had nothing to do with cryptids. It was
See,
either
that's what I'm talking about.
bootleggers or meth heads.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, I have no problem telling everyone. Everyone in my team is got a concealed weapons permit, and we're
Uh-huh.
using initial. I got a 357 highway patrolman on my right hip, and if I can't shoot you, I'll beat you with it. And if that don't work, then the 45's coming out. So we don't play. And there's been several times. I will tell you straight up. There have been several times where I have pulled from the leather holster and
Uh-huh.
made some exaggerated threats because people had shot. We've been shot at. There's nothing like being shot at with a shotgun with double-aught buck because that noise. You hear that noise and you remember it, and then especially when it hits the tree 2 feet above you,
Let me tell you something, but people don't ever, they get so caught up with the paranormal
they
reality
don't care.
thing
It's like, but
that
it's
they
the,
never think, you know what? There's an aspect to this work, which is like that you end up in places or situations where you realize, wow, this is not good to be out here, or I need to get out of here, or the person that brought me here is like, okay, there's something missing upstairs.
we've literally had people. I'm going to tell you straight up, and I think you'll understand this. We've literally brought people. People used to ask to go on, especially cryptid investigation,
Yes.
because everyone wants to see a cryptid. Everyone wants to see a fuzzball. And we've been out in places. I've been out with the Discovery Channel with a camera crew and the director. Everyone involved ran away 3 separate times on the same show. 3 times, Marlene. All I saw was their headlights. Their headlights were. I'm talking to everyone. The guy they hired to protect everyone. This little punk shows up. He's got a little 22 revolver.
Uh-huh.
We're 8 miles in a gorge, and this guy's like, "Oh, everybody knows out here." He hears something that's thrown, and then he hears this. This guy ran so fast. I'd never even seen. And the prick was wearing cowboy boots in the middle of
Yeah.
All right, so this is a good old boy. He's not thinking he's going to see anything. He's thinking these suckers.
No,
Easy
man,
thing.
except that
This
you
guy
don't
broke
remember.
land speed records in heels. All
That's the
right.
thing, man. It's like,
And then you had the director. This guy looks like he's right out of Hollywood. He's wearing the stupid hat, and he's got the
uh-huh.
the shorts and the car. And this guy starts screaming, and he's yelling Hail Marys while he's running.
Yes.
And the digital audio guy starts crying, and he takes off. And the camera
Yes.
guy is literally pushing that guy out of his way.
Yes.
And that left me and another person there.
And
And
you're like, hey, where'd everybody go?
the guy, I'll tell you who it is, like, because I can't speak of it right now because he's still, the show's still on. But he goes, I can't believe they left the talent behind. The guy looks at me deadpan. He goes, Christian, I can't believe they left the talent behind. And I'm looking around and I go like this. So it happens to me all the time, man.
Yeah, it's like.
But and he's just looking at me. He's like, you're armed, right? I'm like, oh yeah. And he's like, oh, okay. He goes, what do we do? I said, well, they all ran the wrong way. So I'm figuring they're going to figure that out soon.
We tell you, one time we had gone to do 2 sites, and you know where it says that Everglades Memorial, the one.
Oh yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
We went out there. Then we went to this other place that they used to call it the Asylum, but really it used to be an old. It's like right on the edge of the Everglades. It used to be an old radio communication,
Mhm.
and then it went downhill, and then it's not really an asylum because I looked at it, but people were out. So we went out with this production crew, and I remember everybody got spooked. The hostess, and they were asking me questions, but we had another guy also there, and they have this little team of people that follow you around because we're like this is just woods and trees and there's graffiti and everything, and I swear to God, all of a sudden I can't remember it was who heard what, and it was like when an animal stampedes that one goes, and then before you know it, everybody just went like, "Where are you guys going?" They had primed themselves so much
Oh
that
yeah, they
all of a
freaked out.
sudden the camera guy with a camera here, he's going. The girl that she was like the hostess, she's a tall girl. She had come like she's all decked out, real nice, dressed really nice. She's gone. And all these other people that minions that are around there, they're gone. And me and this other guy that we used to be on this, we used to investigate in the same foundation. We're like, because he was the one that got them. He talked to me and says, Marlene, how they want to do the show out there. So he was the go-between, the liaison. And we and him are standing out there looking at each other like, what happened? Everybody booked it
But
because they
that's what
primed their
happened.
way out.
They freaked themselves out so bad.
They
Like,
freaked themselves out
Marley,
so
imagine that happening 3 times on the same shoot. 3 times. The guy they hired to protect us, he never showed back up.
Oh,
To
really?
this day, I think he's still running. I have I was complete. I have this on a GoPro, by the way. So they say, "Oh, that didn't happen." Bullshit. I have it on my GoPro. So
No,
don't even try with me. You're gonna sit there. Oh, I never ran. Is that not you? Because
Let me tell you something. People don't realize
that's
that
4K. There you
a
go.
lot of stuff goes behind the scenes. That these people,
They have
well,
no
I
idea.
guess maybe
Yeah.
but yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the cameras that people
Well,
are
like
not aware of.
and some of the stuff they asked me to like. Okay, well, okay, we found footprints and we found this. It was 10 foot tall and there was this, and it was all in like vines, but something ran through this thing and it was 10 foot tall, and you can see the shoulders. And you guys see what the head took through. It just ran through this thing, and there was footprints every 6 feet, right? And he goes, "What is that?" And I'm measuring stuff out, because I'm going out there. I got my tape measures out. I'm taking
Right.
pictures. I'm measuring how high things are, and the guy's like, "Is that real, or you just make it?" I'm like, "Do I look 10 foot tall to you? What's wrong with
And
you?"
what am I gonna? Am I
And
gonna
and
do
and
that?
when he saw this thing, his face. He was a nice guy. I'm not knocking him. He just never been out there before. He'd never seen this stuff before, and
Right.
let alone 8 miles in the middle of freaking nowhere. And his face just was like, "Is that real?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's real." He goes, "That's a footprint." I'm like, "Yeah, that's why I'm measuring and taking pictures." He goes, "That's a footprint. Something made that." I'm like, "Yeah, that's what we're here
Let
for."
me tell you something. But I'm going to give you another. This is something that I'm currently working on. It doesn't have to do with the paranormal, but it bleeds over. Like I work with a search and rescue group here. So every once in a while, we'll take out, not me because I don't have dogs, but they have cadaver. I take that back. People think of cadaver dogs, but nowadays you can train dogs for different scents.
I understand. I understand about
Before, it was like live person, dead person. Now you can
it.
train dogs to smell just about anything. So sometimes we've gone out. Like one time we went out on this guy that was a cold case. He's been disappeared for like 10 years, 2013, 12 years. And he used to go through a certain hiking trail. So they took the opportunity because they say that these dogs, believe it or not, can scent even decades old. If somebody's buried in the ground, they can find it. They can still scent it. So they took the opportunity like to go through where he was usually seen and take the dogs out. Let me tell you something. And you go through some of these places and you're like, you might not. And I guess you only feel this when you've been doing this type of work. Is like, this guy might be out here, he might not, but there's somebody out here. There's more than a few people out here that are under the roots of certain trees. I could feel it. I could
Oh
feel it.
yeah. Well, I mean,
And it was like, I
it's
was
the
like,
National Park System's best graveyard there is.
Okay, and this out here, this part of North Florida,
Yeah.
they have, a lot of these, that there's nothing out there. And when I say literally there's nothing, people go out there either horseback riding or they'll have like a little trail, you know, and, they let the dogs run just to see what they pick up certain scents and things like that. And I mean, I was out there basically working basically I would stay on the road. I was armed and I was, making sure because when they let these dogs run, the handlers will usually go out with them up to a certain point, but just to make sure, make sure that you keep an eye on everybody that's
Scene safety,
dog.
rule one. Remember scene safety. You remember that from the
Right. And some
academy.
of these places, they have these dips and hollows, like, But I was walking out there, and a couple of times, it was winter, but it was still hot. It was the middle of the day, and a couple of times, I'm not killing it, Christian. I got this thing like, oh, that spidey sense of the paranormal, where like I'm out in the middle of nowhere, but there's something out here, something, and I don't mean as in cryptid. I'm talking as in somebody deceased was out here, and it's still. And I was like, but I'm not going to say this because then all these other people looking for the dead guy that disappeared, which they still haven't never found him, you know.
Yeah, I totally get it. You know, we go to places where we'll be looking for something paranormal, and then I look down after a while and we find footprints. And I was like, okay, this just made a turn. Or, you know, you do something cryptid, then you start hearing about all this paranormal stuff that happens in the area. I mean, to me, they're very much connected. You can't have one without the other, because when you start doing the real digging and the real, they're connected. They're like, you know, they're like a double helix for a DNA strand. It's connected. And you can't, there's just, my question is why? Excuse me. Because I still want to know.
Well, you'll talk to a lot of people that will say there's a spike in sightings almost at the same time of cryptids, UFOs.
Yeah.
ETs or ET abductions or contact or sightings, and it's like, okay, so what do all these things have in common? You know, why do all of a sudden everybody's seeing lights in the sky and then Bigfoot at the same time? I don't know.
It's especially this year. I've noticed this year, you know, when we were dealing with COVID and everything, the paranormal stuff spiked, but that's because people were staying home. They were just paying more attention. The stuff, the cryptid stuff, we didn't hear a whole lot of because no one was in the woods. Right. And then halfway through, when people were coming out of the woods, my cryptid reports just skyrocketed.
Yes, but people were going back out.
Well, because people stayed home, and it's like the woods kind of took, you know, nature kind of claimed nature back. Yes. You know, and I think that had a correlation with the fact that the cryptids were like, hey, where's that pink hairless ape? What's he doing? Why isn't he around here? I guess maybe he left, so we'll take this back. And, you know, yeah.
What do you think, Christian? Do you think that Bigfoot, I want to use Bigfoot. Do you think Bigfoot ever preys on humans?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you.
You'd be a fool not to. Again, you got someone wounded or getting old, or maybe the teeth are bad, and they've been deposed. They're out. They're kicked out. Yes. They still got to eat. So, oh, look, here's this human who's too stupid to know what's going on. Yes. Or now I got to chase a raccoon. Give me a human. Exactly. I can eat that for a couple of days. I've been saying that for years. Dog xenocephaly. What makes me mad about when people do paranormal and cryptid research, I got news for you. There's no such thing as a werewolf. A werewolf doesn't exist.
Right.
Nothing transmogrifies from a human being into a wolf hybrid. All right. It doesn't happen. Xenocephaly have been in the historic narrative for thousands of years.
Yeah, St. Christopher.
St. Christopher. Thank you. I had to bring that up. And I had a guy tell me I was crazy. I said, Google St. Christopher. Yep. And see what he originally was. He's a dog-headed man. He's xenocephaly. That guy, I blew his mind. He was in total shock. He was like, this can't be real. But no, it's real. And, I love doing stuff like that to people because they don't see it coming. They can't think about it. They're like, oh, wait, well, that's not real. And then all of a sudden, look, this is a biblical account. All right. St. Christopher was literally raised by a group of guys that were, Gregorian priests, and they taught him how to speak. They taught him how to do this. And he was so strong he could carry people across the water. And at one point in time, he carried the Christ child across, a pond so nothing would happen to him. All right. And that's, boom, now he's St. Christopher. What's wrong with that? Why is that so far off of limits to believe now?
Exactly.
Okay. So now we have all these reports of dog-headed men. And here's the way I look at it like this. When 1776 was around, I know you've heard me say this, and I'm going to say it again. But when 1776 was happening, everyone was focused on what? North America, specifically New England. What they didn't realize is that there was a pandemic of smallpox crippling the world. And that went to Canada, that went to Russia, that was also going on the west coast of the United States, and South America. Well, what people don't realize, if you read the book called Pax Americana, according to the author there, the only virus that will spread from man basically great ape is what? Smallpox.
Really?
So let's just say, yeah, that's actually
I
true.
didn't know that.
Yeah, so let's just say smallpox is taking us out. There's stories in Canada about Bigfoots coming in and dying laying next to their human friends that they've been trading with and bartering with for years and decades and centuries and things of that nature.
Wow.
So you have to take all that into account. Well, what's to say that, the cenocephalite doesn't have the same DNA that we have, and it's just there's a canine factor in there, and that would, of course, jump in and do the same thing to them. So that would explain why it took so much time for them to come back and their population to come back. Now,
because they got decimated.
I defy anyone to tell me that's not possible.
Of course not. That is very
possible. You can't, because it is. So that's my opinion on what happened. That's why we're getting all these huge, massive reports. And here's the other thing most people don't realize, Marlene. Let's look at the forest system, all right? I'm looking at a map of the continental United States right here on the side. Remember the old school pull-down ones? Everyone's used to pull down school. I have one of those. And as I look at this great country of ours, I can see where the national park system is at.
Right.
And you literally have enough space for something to migrate from north to south, east to west, at any point in time of the year, and they will never run into human beings.
No detection. Right. None. Zero.
So here's the other thing: is who put the national park system into effect? Do you remember?
Roosevelt. No.
Teddy Roosevelt. Bing, bing, bing. Right. You have an A. Teddy Roosevelt's also the first person to write about the Bowman experiment or the expedition. All right, that's in his book, The Wilderness Hunter, 1896. Okay. So you got a president that writes about a Bigfoot incident. That's one of the most famous Bigfoot incidents.
Yes, exactly.
And then he goes around, turns around, and makes a national park system. I don't believe in coincidence. When Lewis and Clark were told, all right, here's what you're going to do, but you have to make friends with the Native Americans. Meriwether Lewis goes, I don't think that's a good idea, sir. He's saying this to Jefferson. And Jefferson says,
and the reason is?
And the reason why is because you're going to run into something called the hairy man, or the Sasquatch, or Bigfoot, or an Onyinue, or the Oma, whatever you want to call this furry bastard.
Right.
You're going to run into them. And Native Americans are the only ones that know how to deal with them. So not only are you going to be polite and nice to the Native Americans, you give them what they want, they're going to teach you how to deal with these things that you will run into. I have a depiction in one of my books. It's one of the original Lewis and Clark books. It was pre-1950 because in 1950 they changed it. But it shows you a picture of Lewis and Clark running in with the hairy man. They run into him. There's two. There's Lewis and Clark, and they're on their horses and like this. And all of a sudden, there's a Bigfoot right in front of them. All right, he drew that. That was drawn by Meriwether Lewis. All right, so you can't say people haven't known about this. So here's my thing: we can literally say we have known about Bigfoot in this country since Jefferson. All right, and no one's ever said anything because they didn't want to stop westward expansion. So think about all the thousands of people since that time that have disappeared because they ran across one of these things that might have been hungry, might have been angry, might have been pissed off. We don't know. But think of how many people have disappeared over the centuries because of
it. People that say, okay, they disappeared, we think they might have fallen in a ravine, but you really don't know.
Leif Erikson in 980 AD, when he was coming into Newfoundland, first thing he said, he ran into a group of hairy, angry savages that stunk. You know what he was doing? He was trying to spread Christianity. Because at that point, he had just become a Christian, and he was trying to spread Christianity. That's all his whole focus was, I've been a savage, I've been a heathen, now I spread the word of God. I go to this Newfoundland. The second we dock our ships, we're being surrounded by a group of hairy, smelly people that are 8-9 feet tall, and they're throwing rocks at us.
Well, you know what? Now that you said, are you familiar with what happened with Meriwether?
Definitely, yeah.
Do you think he committed suicide, or do you think he was killed?
He was whacked.
He was, wasn't
How are you going to shoot yourself 2 times in the head with a flint? How?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. And the only thing that survives is a Masonic apron.
Well, and then also the guy, in other words, because this was around the time of the Louisiana Purchase, and he had been made a governor. Right. That's his reward for this expedition. He got a chunk of the Ohio River Valley. But there was apparently they were putting out rumors, from what I understand, that he was misappropriating funds. One of those deals on his trip. Even though there's in other words, they stood. What was the name of the guy? The one that wanted to take over America. That, as a matter of fact, he
Oh,
gave
the
this
guy
is
that Andrew Johnson, or not Andrew?
this
I'm
is
sorry,
around the same time. These are all
no,
the
no, because
people.
that was the guy that got to do with
No, you're talking about Aaron Burr.
Aaron Burr. Yeah,
But Aaron Burr was in on that, and
no,
there's
of course he
another.
was. Aaron Burr was the sleaziest guy to live.
Oh God, was he?
You know who his father? You know who his grandfather was?
Who
Jonathan Edwards,
was Jonathan Edwards?
bent bow of justice at an angry sinner, Puritan minister. Jonathan Edwards.
Okay.
He's the guy who used to keep people in church for 8 hours on Sunday.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And he was basically considered American royalty. He was an ass.
Oh no,
Aaron
so
Burr was a tool.
well, no,
Aaron Burr got what he deserved. That, and then all of a sudden, Aaron Burr wants to turn America into the biggest slave colony. So what we're going to do is going to
Well,
invade.
they were basically wanting to
crazy.
take over.
They're crazy.
There's another. I don't know if you ever heard of them. There's another family called the Blennerhassetts. Okay. The story on that, they're contemporaries with Aaron Burr. As a matter of fact, Blennerhassett, the main guy, gets arrested along with Aaron Burr. You know, when this whole thing that
Wasn't that the guy that stood up for him while they were having the duel with Hamilton?
No, they're okay. After, because the first thing I think the black mark against Aaron Burr was when that duel took place. That was that made that
was in Jersey, right? That happened in Jersey,
right? That didn't make that. Which, as a matter of fact, it was 3 years at the same place where Jefferson lost his son to a duel.
Right.
Okay. But then later on is when they have that basically that scandal about them because of the Louisiana Purchase and wanting to take. They didn't, like you said, no westward expansion. We're going to take this over. There's another family. They're Irish. Blennerhassett. This guy, he's in Ireland, and their old Irish family. He elopes with his niece. He marries his niece. Well, I'll take that back. They have never been able to produce a marriage certificate because they don't think they could find. But the family fell into that. He comes over here, but when he comes over here to the United States, nobody knows any better, of what happened back in Ireland. They have a bunch of kids, but he's involved in it. He ended up getting arrested along with Aaron Burr with that thing. I mean, there was a lot of movers and shakers, is my point, trying to basically that land grab.
Yeah, but they want to remember, Marlene, they wanted to turn South America. They wanted to take South America and invade South America.
Mexico. They wanted to get Mexico in on it.
All of South America, Mexico, and the Caribbean, and turn that into a slave. They wanted New Rome. That's what they were trying to do.
That's what they were trying to do.
On a slave trade. And at that point, everyone's like, what are you, crazy?
Well, but people don't realize, because you always think of that when the United States was developing westward, that everything was copacetic, and nobody understood and I guess even with what's going on now,
it's a total conspiracy. It's one of the original American conspiracies. It's right up there with the Masonic treasure. It's right up there because I am convinced that still has never been found.
Well, and this is in other words, they were even thinking that in other words, this guy Meriwether Lewis. That basically they did away with him because he was a straight arrow. He wasn't going to go along with the plan. But he had been made governor of that territory, so that's basically why they got rid of him.
Well, but it's weird. The only thing that they found after he shoots himself twice with a flintlock pistol was his Masonic apron.
I didn't know that. Well, but you know what? Another thing. They have refused. Supposedly, he's buried. Where is it? At that place, which is now a federal park or federal land. They have refused to ever let them take a DNA test of him to find out what they can find if there's any poison. Because there was even rumors that he had been poisoned. Well,
the landlady, or when he was staying at that hotel, that landlady, her story changed.
Oh yeah, but she because it was basically like a wayside inn kind of deal in the middle of nowhere.
It was in the middle of nowhere, and he was the only kind. Yeah.
Supposedly, her husband leaves for the night. She's with her 2 kids. She's hearing something going on. She doesn't leave. She doesn't come out. She lets whatever it is. The guy that was his servant commits suicide 6 months later. But
allegedly.
Allegedly.
Anytime I hear suicide in history,
well, no. See, he came.
I have to throw the word allegedly
initially because this murder happened like in that little waste, like like one of those roadside inn tavern.
It was in Tennessee. It was in Tennessee.
But it was like that. This was not a populated area. He was in.
No, it was in the middle of nowhere,
It
Tennessee.
was in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So they basically had to take the word of these people, and one of the things, also his servant, they saw him later on wearing his clothing, and they're like, "What? What are you doing?" And so supposedly 6 months later, guess what? He's supposedly allegedly committed suicide.
Alleged.
You know, in other words, anybody that could contribute something to that. And
Well,
now,
it's like, you know what? The thing about that, Marlene, take that same narrative and bump it up to the 1950s and put it in Majestic 12. How many people? Forrestal, allegedly.
Yes.
Jumps out of the 12-story window and
right.
It's alleged. It's right. The same narrative. History does not change.
Well, I did back in 17, 18. I did a tour. There's a skyscraper out here in Miami, and I did a tour because they came in and asked me to do a tour like on Halloween night. All right. Now this was like one of the first skyscrapers in downtown Miami. One of the gentlemen that was first there was an old hotel there called the Hallison. All right. They tore that down on the side of the Hallison. They built this.
Are you talking about the Fountain Blue?
No. Fountain Blue's that's on the beach.
Yeah, that's on the beach. Okay.
Now, supposedly the story is when they built the building, they made it like into office, like an office. At the back, at the bottom was a bank, and then the other floors. Marlene, what's his name? There's a gentleman who's a very good friend of John F. Kennedy. Okay. Guess what? 3 days after Kennedy's assassinated, that day so happens that his secretary has to go to a dentist appointment. And he supposedly jumps off the 10th floor. His office was on the 10th floor. And he lands, they had like I think it was on the 5th floor. They have, where it juts out, like, sometimes they have.
Mm-hmm.
When I was preparing the notes for that tour, part of the building, his daughter contacted the people that were producing the thing. She said, my father did not commit suicide. And this was what, 1963? So we were talking about people that are allegedly do things.
Yeah, but that makes sense because remember, if the Kennedy assassination was run by the FBI, the mafia, and Cuba, that makes sense because Miami's right there. Miami's the hot spot. Then it goes to New Orleans and it runs into oh God, what was that mob guy's name that hated Kennedy because he deported him to Peru? Little Italian guy. I can't think of it right now. Oh, guy used to kid. He had his pants. The guy literally used to have his pockets in his pants expanded because he carried 30 grand he used to carry 30 grand. Marcello.
Okay.
So Marcello's he's running Vegas, and at that time I don't know who's running Florida. It's Traficante probably, and and so they have. Listen, they hated Kennedy. The mob put Kennedy in office, and then he goes around and screws them by starting the anti-mob thing, and and bringing all these guys down, and they wanted him dead. You know what he did to Marcello? What? Marcello was not an American citizen. He had Marcello basically kidnapped and dropped off in the Peruvian jungle.
Are you serious?
Yeah, this guy's walked around in an Italian suit and wingtips for 3 days before he could find a phone and get to it in the jungle. That I don't care who you are. You don't do that to someone. Of
course not. Of course not.
That's what the Kennedys did, man. They played, and then you wonder why what happened. And then you throw in the Marilyn Monroe shit and all that other stuff.
You know what? The other day, as a matter of fact, what was it that they were talking about? They do think that despite everything that they say, that Marilyn Monroe did commit suicide because
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And here's why: her best friend that she has phone records of talking to for hours at a time is some radical commie in Mexico.
Okay.
All right. She had just gotten. Did you ever read about Frank Sinatra and the other mob guys and whatever they did to her?
No.
I'm not even going to get into that. If that's true or not, I don't know. But let me tell you something. If that was true, I wonder why she went nuts.
Okay.
but apparently Sinatra took pictures.
Okay.
So there's a whole thing with that, but that kind of sets her mindset that now she's dealing with people that aren't really interested in her best interest, and she's starting to. So this whole thing happens, and she thought she was going to get protection from the Kennedys, and next thing you know, she's being treated in a horrible, horrible, inhuman way,
right,
by these mafia guys.
Okay.
And then, she's expecting Bobby and the brother and the old man to protect her, and they're like, screw it. And that's when she starts to write her tell-all book about. She's got the nuclear codes. She knows what the.
And you know what? And it's one of those things that people don't realize. If you don't threaten something like that unless you're ready to do it, because just when you start talking about tell-all.
Mm-hmm. But see, and here's the thing: I'm not a Marilyn Monroe fan. She's a hoe. Mm-hmm. I have no respect for her. None. She was a total slut. I mean, she was porking everything. She was on everything about the Titanic, Marlene. She was bad.
I know. She was a troubled woman.
She was a hooker. I mean, that's why I'm looking at. She was a hooker. I mean, she was porking her psychiatrist.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, nobody.
I mean, everyone. So I have no respect for her. But here's where Bobby or the Kennedys couldn't keep their mouth shut.
Right.
And they used to tell her stuff. And she's going to Mexico, or she's calling a guy from Mexico that's a known communist, and he's reporting right back to Moscow.
Jesus Christ.
So the whole thing was a setup. So you can't tell me that didn't happen. Frankly, it's disgusting the way she was treated. But she, it's one of these things where, you know what? You got to know where you go. Know who you are,
I want to say, and maybe I might be wrong, but I think the nicest guy she ever hooked up with Joe DiMaggio.
Hey, man, Joe DiMaggio's the snap. I still have his baseball card.
Okay.
All right, I got nothing bad about Joe. I feel sorry for Joe because she just screwed him over.
Yeah, but I think that even after they got divorced, it sounded like he still cared about what happened to her.
At that point, how can you care? The stuff she was doing, it's like, you're going to act like that? I don't know you. Forget about it.
I guess I feel sorry for her. That she was on a path of self-destruction,
Yeah, but she did it to herself. That's the thing. She did it to herself. I have no pity. It's like having said, I'm not going to have pity for a drug addict either. They do it to themselves.
No, let me tell you something. They the other day, this is the thing. Supposedly that she had attempted suicide twice before this last time.
3 times.
And so it's like, and I'm thinking to myself, because let's face it, back then, not like now, but if a scandal like that broke out, even if it was like if it was like a known unknown secret, it was like a known secret. Still, if that ever made the public, like let's say if she did have told a tell-all book or a report or something, that would have damaged. It would have made a lot of people look very bad. So I'm not.
But you got to look at the. I mean, this is back at the end. This is towards the end of the golden age of Hollywood. This is towards the end. They were still trying to protect their stars. So the studios, and at that point, the studio gave up on her because they're like, "You're a hoe. What you can't. Right. We can't do this. Right. And you can't. Honestly, I'm not trying to be mean, but you're not going to be able to make a housewife a hoe. It's not or a hoe a housewife. She's going to do whatever the hell she wants because she's used to it. And she's going to be able to say whatever she wants because she thinks at this point, I make my own money, I do what I want, I'm a star, everyone loves me, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but even then, remember, by the time she dies, her star in Hollywood is fading.
Well, yeah, but that's because she did it to herself.
Yeah, but I'm saying, because remember, back then, especially when these studios, like they said, yeah, they would run interference for you, like infidelities or weird stuff, because they're trying to protect their assets.
I mean, look, we don't even know how half of the golden age of Hollywood is probably gay.
Oh, yes.
We never knew that.
Yes. I know a lot of people nowadays, like, I remember, I swear, I remember when Rock Hudson, for a minute, how long was he like the leading man in Hollywood?
I remember, listen, I'm only in my 50s, and I remember Rock Hudson being the lead man. But you know what? I look at, one of my favorite actors is Cary Grant. And they always accused Cary Grant of being gay, and it's like, listen, this guy was impregnating Diane Carroll when he was in his 80s. I don't think he was gay.
In some cases, I think sometimes they kind of sling that at people, and they're like, "Nah, I don't think so."
And it's like it's like saying Elvis was gay. That's the blasphemy.
Yeah, it's like, come on,
that's the king. So I think it's like for someone to say Cary Grant's gay, that's completely bull. I think it's ridiculous. But the way and manner in which they portrayed him in the early 40s, because he had a roommate There was another Hollywood guy, and they're sitting there, and the old pictures. He's sitting there shirtless, and he's punching a punching bag, and his buddy's like playing street hockey or something. I mean, today they look like, oh man, you guys maybe
right. But back then it wasn't.
Back then it was different. But see, I think what they tried to do is I think they tried to say, oh no, look, he was gay too, and that's the gays doing that. That's not what happened.
No,
but that's because it looks like that's today by our standards.
Exactly.
You get two guys that are roommates, and one of them sitting there.
Right, exactly. That's like code for what?
Yeah, I mean I get it, but back then it was a different. And the truth of the matter is, I don't care. I don't care,
no,
but
it wasn't,
it's just the way they portray people.
You never, as a matter of fact, no, you never got that vibe off of him. That was like never. But yeah,
but that's like the same thing with Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe is always going to be Marilyn Monroe. People always say she was a sex symbol, she was this, she was that. That's not the truth. The truth of the matter is she was a broken woman. She had the morals of an alley cat, and she did whatever it took to take money or to make money. And her biggest mistake was getting involved with political stuff.
Yes.
I mean, that should be a cautionary tale for anyone in Hollywood.
As long as she would have stuck to Hollywood and actors and stuff like
that, she'd still be alive. Okay. She'd still be alive.
She'd probably do her memoirs, or we would have heard. But yeah, she. I think that was that. Like once you go there, it's like, man, you don't really know what you're getting into.
Well, the second, here's the thing that makes me laugh, and this is just my take on it, Marlene. Any Hollywood actor that starts getting political, I put them on the pay no mention list. I don't care. Yes. They can all kid. They don't have any idea what reality is. You think Barbara Streisand knows what a gallon of gas costs?
Of course not.
I love me some Babs. Love me some Babs. Don't get me wrong. Love me some Babs, but shut up. No. You don't know what you're talking about.
You haven't.
George Clooney, you're over. You're done. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about.
When was the last time you went grocery shopping?
When was the last time you bought a Snickers bar, pal?
Yeah. Exactly.
Don't give me this. It's like Helen Hunt. Love her, but shut up. You're done. You don't know what you're talking about. There's a lot of them
that it's like you
Like, and it's like this liberal mindset, and I'm not, I'm very obviously conservative, but this liberal mindset
exactly what you mean.
Disgusts me because these people, I live paycheck to paycheck. I'm not sitting on millions of dollars, and I'm pretty well known in this field,
But the thing is that people make the mistake of thinking that because you're an actor or celebrity, you have this higher knowing. You're nobody. You're just entertaining.
Maureen, I Googled, or I'm just going to let you know this. I Googled American Cryptid and Paranormal Society. Uh-huh. And you know what it said?
What?
My net worth is $5 million plus.
Man, did you? And you didn't know about it, right? It's like, really? How did I do that?
Where the hell is it?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
because I'll sit there. I'll do, hey, no problem. You want me to
It's like, where is it? Like, is there something you guys are keeping from me?
All right, it's like, it was called less than $5 million and less than 20 employees. All right. Well, as far as I know, I pay me.
Yeah, like me.
And half the time I don't get paid. So,
what is it? But yeah, but
see, that's a misconception because people Google you and they see this information and they think, oh, what the hell? Screw him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's worth, he's living high in the hog. Look, I'll show you my tax returns. I promise you.
A lot of time, what's out there, a lot of times is mistaken, and sometimes it's totally misleading. Like, where are they getting this from? And you're thinking, okay, where's this information from?
I'm not complaining, poor mouth. I do pretty well. I'm not, but I work hard. I work 7 days a week. I don't have a day off. Right. Christina works 7 days a week. She doesn't have a day off. We are constant. There's no time. Like, when we get done with this interview, I've literally got 4 or 5 hours worth of work to do on the computer of research for stuff we're looking at. And, right now it's 10:35. I'm not going to bed till probably 4 or 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I'll wake up at 10 or 11, and it just starts over. And tomorrow night I've got a tour. So, it doesn't end. It's constant. But I love it. I love what I'm doing. I'm not complaining, but that's what you have to do.
Exactly.
To make this work. And it's not because I'm making money every 2 seconds. It's because I'm trying to find, all right, this is a fact. This is a lie. This is a fact. This is a lie.
Exactly.
All right, how does this all work? And then you have to put it together. And then again, I'm a big guy with timelines. That's how I discovered it. I put timelines on the board. I'll put them on, like there's one right now on the timeline. I've got the red string going from here to here. I'm one of those guys. I'll be the first one to admit it. But that's how you put things together because it takes time to do that. And, but to say I'm worth $5 million, I mean, come on.
No, but a lot of the stuff, that's what I'm saying. Some of the stuff that's out there, on the internet, it's like
Oh, it's ridiculous.
And I'll tell you what, especially when you were talking about research, you'd be surprised some of the stuff that you come across. Like, what is this? Where did they come up with this? Then you try to find what's your source, what's your point of origin for this information. It's like, okay. But anyway, you have to come back, because you know what I would like to talk to you about AI. And I'm not going to.
Let me tell you something. I got a whole lot to say about AI.
See, that's what I mean.
You just tell me when you want me.
Yes, I'm going to send you some dates.
Marlene, I want to be on your show. I miss you. I always have the most fun with you.
If you ever come back down to Florida, the truth is, I have a lot of animals.
I don't care.
No, but what I'm saying is, when you have animals, like I do, now I'm talking besides dogs, I've got chickens and
you got your guinea hens and all of those stuff. I know.
You can't, traveling, it doesn't fit in there. Extended travel.
Let me throw this at you real quick. And here's the point. I agree with you 150%. Christina and I, we need to go down to see the folks for the holidays.
All right.
We have been driving with Nandor in the back seat since he was a baby. Okay. And I just don't like him in the back seat that long. So I told my relatives, like, look, you want to see us, you come up and see us. Well, that lasted for about the big 4 seconds.
Yeah.
So what we're doing now, this is what we've decided to do.
Halfway point?
No. One of us is going to stay home, and the other one's going to fly out, say hi to their parents for 2 days.
Yes.
Fly back, and then the next one's going to go.
Right.
So when you say you have animals, I get it. That's my fur ball. I'm not leaving him.
I know. This is to us, like even when I go down to Miami, I'm not there 24 hours. I mean, unless my husband stays here, and then I shoot down to Miami, because I still have a lot of family down there.
Oh yeah, I know.
But at the end of the day, I've come and gone in the one day, which is wow, when you come back. But I can do that. It's a 8 hours.
No, Marlene, I totally get.
And people say, well, can't you get people? And it's like,
no, I don't trust anyone.
To trust
I don't trust my fur ball with a daycare, a doggy care, a neighbor. I want to know he's all right. I want to know he's but then again, as I said earlier 2 hours ago, overprotective dad. There's a stamp on there's a stamp on the folder. There's a stamp on Nandor's medical records.
Yeah.
Overprotective father. Only see Christina.
She has a what was it? Not a schnauzer. I can't remember what kind, but one of those little schnauzer dogs. And she's gone on vacation. And one of the last times, the dog got a kennel cough and.
Oh yeah, I'm not doing that.
And it's like, oh.
I'm not going to let my boy get molested or beat up by a pit bull or hell no.
By the people there.
Because then I got to go around taking revenge. I'm a vindictive man. So I'm Scottish Irish. We got blood feuds. We don't.
It's like, yeah.
We don't play.
300 years later.
I'll get you. And this stick in the neck. I'll get your ass. You don't mess with my baby.
Wait a minute. Wasn't the MacLeod and the Highlander?
Yeah. Here's the sad truth about the Highlanders, my friend. This is what we look like. All right. This Henry Cavill. They're rebooting it, right?
Oh, they are?
Henry Cavill is the new Highlander.
Really?
So they don't look. This is what they look like, folks. This is what we look like. All right, not some pretty boy that used to fly around in a red cape. This is it. You. Sorry to disappoint.
It's like this is reality. All right, Christian. It has been wonderful. I will be getting in touch with you with some dates. Okay, I will.
And then listen. I really want you to. I'm going to give you my contact info from my buddy Pat about his book, Sarasota Blood, because I'm telling you, you're going to love it. You're going to love it because it's just right up your alley.
Let me ask you something. Has he set it up yet on Amazon that's going to get
published? He's just basically gotten it done, and he sent me a rough copy. And the second I was reading it, I was thinking, it was fortuitous because the second I read it, I'm thinking, Marlene would love this because this is the kind of thing, it's one of those things. And I'll give you his contact info, but he's like I said, he's one of my best friends. I love him. I take a bullet for him. The world's a better place because he's in it. Again, his name's his pen name is Patrick Author, but he's just one of the greatest guys in the world. You'll love him. He's hilarious. Okay. There's one of these things. Pat's the kind of guy you can talk about anything with, and he knows he's got a knowledge base on it.
Okay.
So he's one of those guys, and he does his research, and he's just like I say, he's brilliant. His family, everyone in his family is just you kind of get jealous. I like the family that everything goes for because they're smart. They understand math and they can do calculus in 7th grade. Those bastards. He's one of those. So
I'll tell you what, yeah, especially if he wants to come on, like when he's ready to like promote his book.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely, for sure, for sure. We'll get the word out there.
well,
Again,
definitely.
Christian, it has been wonderful to speak to you, and I want to wish you the best of luck and everything. I will be sending you an email. Okay.
Yeah, but Marlene, I'm just gonna say it. I got nothing but big love for you. You know,
Me too.
when I first started doing this, you were one of the first people that reached
Let me
out
tell you
to me.
something. I tell everybody, people, paranormal groups come and go, or cryptid. Not everybody sticks around. Not everybody. That's you're one of the people that's been around for a while.
But you know what? But that's and honestly, and I got nothing but love for you because I know
There's a
part of that's
lot of
because of
people that
you.
get into this, and then when they figure out that man, this sometimes is boring, or you need a lot of work, they kind of fade out.
Well, you know, and again, Marlene, I've been blessed. You know, like I said, being part of Haunted Asheville, and being Joshua P. Warren's one of my closest friends. I love him. He's a brother. Literally, he's like a brother to me. And you know, when I'm doing something or when I'm investigating something or I have a question, I am so blessed because I can call him and say, what do you think I should do? What's my next, process here?" And you know, and he always gives me good advice. I've got Christina, my greatest love of my life. I've been off and on with her for 36 years, 35 years now, and I've just been blessed, and I've got good people like you around me, Marlene, and
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
that means more to me. You know, you're like I consider you like family,
All
and
as
and
paranormal
people,
people, we got to
yeah,
stick together.
because it's not easy,
No,
because it's rough. There's ebbs and flows. People don't realize this gets to be a rough gig.
yeah, it
You know,
does.
you got
It
people
does.
coming after you. You know, I've had different organizations come after me, kind of, after my reputation, things like that, and it's not easy. But
Oh
you
no,
know, all I can say is I've been blessed. You know, I got Jesus on my side, and I just do what He tells me to do,
for
and I'm just
sure.
trying to help people, and that's the
Absolutely.
bottom line. I just want to help people.
Yeah,
I'm not in it for the
that's it.
money. I
Not
lose $8,000 a year doing what I do.
no, it's not the sensationalism, and I know what you mean. And I think that sometimes, unfortunately, a lot of people look at some of. I'm gonna go after reality shows. I think, oh, all these people are involved in paranormal. They're all like you said, for the money or the sensationalism, and none of that is real. It's like, nope, that's not accurate. That's not accurate.
Yeah, it's not even close. Not even
No,
close.
there's people in there that do it for the right reasons, which is what you just talked about.
I'm telling you right now, if the History Channel had any common sense, they would call you, me. We put a team together and we handle everything, and it'd be
Yes.
awesome. But until they wake up and realize the talent they're overlooking, that's just the way it's going to
Yes.
be.
C'est la vie, mon ami.
Yes,
All
my
right, darling. Take care.
God bless.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
Wow. Wow. I'm gonna make my exit short because I know that this is a long interview, but it was great to talk to. We talked about everything. We went all over the map. But it was great to talk to Christian. I've interviewed him several times. He really knows his stuff. He really knows whether it's the paranormal, the cryptid side of things. And I'm not kidding you. Not everybody sticks around for this stuff. How's this? If you go into the paranormal to make money, you're gonna unless you're willing to do stuff you shouldn't, or you got a big production company behind you. It's like no. That some people end up making money somehow, some way, yes, but in other words, that should be like a secondary gain. You should do this because you really like the work, because you're interested in it, because you really want the real story, whatever the case might be. But that your incentive should not be, I need to sensationalize this so that I can make money from it. Yeah, it'll work for some people some other time, but eventually it's kind of disappointing. Plus, you make the rest of us look bad. How's that? Um, because I'll tell you, for all the stories that you see on all these shows of, and I'm not talking historical places. I'm talking about residential people that, I don't know, there's a bunch of people that sometimes are experiencing paranormal occurrences, or how's this, that what they think are paranormal occurrences in their house. All right. And they like I said, they're very worried about confidentiality, especially now in the age of where, for all you know, the next thing you know, you're on TikTok or some YouTube without their permission. And even if, how's this? Even if when you go there and you investigate, it turns out not to be paranormal. It could be something. Sometimes, as a matter of fact, many times it turns out to be normal stuff. they're going through a lot of mental anguish sometimes. Oh, and I think that's what Christian was talking about as far as helping people. That even if, we're not talking here like it's a paranormal resolution or that, just to take the weight off of them, because like I said, a lot of people, they don't talk about it to people, or they're afraid they're going to be made fun of, or how's this? Even now, with this thing of the reality shows, it's been around for what, 20 years or something like that. There's like a backlash, and I'm going to explain why. Where if maybe they say, look, I think I got a ghost or I got something going on or whatever, people might go, oh, what, would you, one of these people, were you trying to be on a show or something? Or like, like, oh, you're making this up because you're trying to like uh gain something from it. All right. So it's almost like for all the times that the paranormal, the ghost, or the this or that has become more mainstream, the backlash on it is that when you have somebody legit might not want to come forward and say, I don't want to be on any show, or I'm not looking for 5 minutes of fame. I think I really got something going on here. I don't know I don't know what this is. Okay. I need help. And that's when, you have groups that still go in there that have been around for a while. That's, how's this? That, hey, I'm going to help you if I can help you any way I can, whether to debunk it, which is usually, like I tell everybody, that's the best outcome. You get it debunked. This is nothing paranormal here. Okay, or if there is, what can we do about it? All right, what are your options? And, you know, move on with life. Because a lot of these people, I'm telling you, the really legit paranormal cases, contrary to what you see, they do not want to exposure. They do not want anybody to know about it. They're hoping that this is something that, like I said, and sometimes some of them even opt to like just move. They're so wigged out with this that even if, in some cases, even if you tell them there's nothing paranormal, they still move out. If they can, they still move away. All right, but the intent, excuse me, is always to help somebody, not because I'm going to be making money out of it. Yes, if there's money to be made on the side, like I said, secondary, that's different. But it's not because I'm going to need to lie or make things up or tell somebody that there's something supernatural in their house when there isn't, but because I think I can make money off of it, which, by the way, that there's people out there that do charge to do a cleansing on a house or to do this or that for you because you've got this or that going on. Okay? Yes, that does happen. That does happen out there. All right? So yeah, it's very interesting. The paranormal in the age of AI. I got to talk to Christian about that. So anyway, guys, I got to go out there because I've got all my animals out there screaming like, lady, come put us away. Come put us away. And all my babies here underneath me, they've been really, really good. So anyway, guys, come back. I've got a lot of great guests lined up. Go to sign up for my Substack newsletter. Go to mppellicer.com or miamighostchronicles.com. You'll find links to everything there. So till next time, take care.